Chapter 761. Although he could sense Duan Gantai's position, Ning Qing still arranged for Shen Mengyan and the others. He also gave some instructions to Tsang Tsaiha before leaving Stately River Star. Stately River Star had Tsang Tsaiha, a late-stage eternal powerhouse, along with several heaven-seated powerhouses. Therefore, there shouldn't be any problems. Ning Qing sensed Duan Gantai's presence, and Duan Gantai also sensed Ning Qing's presence. This made Duan Gantai overjoyed. He had just made a lot of money when he received news about Ning Qing. What could be more delightful than this? Even if there was no news about Ning Qing, he had already planned to come to Stately River Star to find Ning Qing. He didn't expect that Ning Qing would appear before he even reached Stately River Star. He also knew that since Ning Qing opened the connecting spirit silk, it meant that Ning Qing also wanted to find him. Knowing that Ning Qing wanted to find him, Duan Gantai couldn't wait to come to Stately River Star. While Ning Qing made arrangements for Shen Mengyan and the others, Duan Gantai appeared on the starry sky public square outside Stately River Star's star protecting Grand Array. Brother Duan, long time no see. It's a pleasure to meet you. Ning Qing greeted Duan Gantai on the starry skies public square from afar. He could sense Duan Gantai's position. Even if he came to Stately River Star from Duan Gantai's position, he couldn't have arrived this quickly. But what shocked Ning Qing even more was that Duan Gantai's cultivation wasn't any weaker than his, at the middle stage life and death realm. Ning Qing had cultivated within the mysterious yellow bead, with the help of the mysterious yellow origin, the starry sky essence chi vein, and countless permanent essence pills, it allowed him to advance to the middle level of life and death realm so quickly. How could Duan Gantai keep up with him so quickly? Ning Qing was shocked, and so was Duan Gantai. Although he could not clearly see Ning Qing's cultivation, he could vaguely feel that Ning Qing's cultivation was not lower than his own, perhaps even higher. He initially thought that with his cultivation, he would soon be able to leave Ning Qing behind by tens of thousands of miles. But in fact, Ning Qing's cultivation not only did not fall behind him, but even showed signs of overtaking him. The reason why he was able to reach the middle stage of the life and death realm in such a short time was because of a fortuitous encounter not too long ago. It was because he had obtained some of the rare treasures from the Guardian Temple, one of the 3 temples in the striking order Starry Sky, that he managed to advance to the middle level of the life and death realm. What did Ning Qing rely on? His cultivation speed was so fast. Unfortunately, he didn't have the real none to depend on wine. Otherwise, he could definitely open the deeper levels of the Guardian Temple and obtain even better things. Opening the inner hall of the Guardian Temple required a type of spirit technique, the none to depend on spirit technique. Although he had engraved a detailed introduction to the none to depend on spirit technique at the entrance of the inner hall, without the none to depend on wine, he still couldn't comprehend this spirit technique. Duan Gantai believed that with his IQ and aptitude, as long as he had a pot of none to depend on wine, he could definitely comprehend the none to depend on spirit technique. Brother Ning, something happened to my connecting spirit silk. Fortunately, it's all good now. Duan Gantai laughed and greeted him enthusiastically. Ning Qing felt the celestial essence fluctuations coming from Duan Gantai's body and showed a smile. Brother Duan, you've had a lot of opportunities recently. My luck is a lot worse. Entering the ancient Shadow Temple, I almost lost my life. By the way, Brother Duan has been in the striking order Starry Skies recently. Did you find the Guardian Temple? Duan Gantai felt surprised and quickly laughed a few times. How is that possible? The Guardian Temple is one of the 3 major temples of the striking order Starry Skies, even above the Temple of Time. Even if I found it, I wouldn't be able to get it by myself. Brother Ning, we're old friends. It's been a long time since we last met. Why don't we find a place to have a few drinks first? Ning Qing didn't doubt Duan Gantai's words. Instead, he was wondering how to ask Duan Gantai for the breaking boundary talisman. But he never expected Duan Gantai to suggest drinking. He was just about to agree, but just as the words were about to leave his mouth, his heart suddenly moved. Since Duan Gontai came looking for him in such a hurry, it stood to reason that the first thing he proposed was to go to the Temple of Time together. Why would he suggest drinking? Besides, how did Duan Gontai come here so quickly? After swallowing the words he was about to say, Ning Cheng sighed and said, "Oh, Brother Duan, I can't wait to have a drink with Brother Duan and then go to the Temple of Time." Unfortunately, Duan Gontai suddenly felt a shadow in his heart. Since he asked Ning Cheng to drink, he naturally wanted to use the wine to draw out the none to depend on wine. Then, he would find a way to get Ning Cheng to give him some. The excuse was naturally that he liked the none to depend on wine too much. He had already guessed that Ning Cheng had killed Mutual Dependence Chamber of Commerce's Zhu Jingfeng when Ning Cheng took out the none to depend on wine to invite Chuan Xinlo and the others to a banquet. Moreover, Ning Cheng had even taken away Zhu Jingfeng's things. In other words, if he wanted to drink the none to depend on wine, he could only look for Ning Cheng. Duan Gontai felt both shock and admiration towards Ning Cheng for killing Zhu Jingfeng. If Zhu Jingfeng could be killed so easily, he would have already killed Zhu Jingfeng a long time ago. Unexpectedly, before he could do anything, Ning Cheng took the initiative. What's a pity? Does Brother Ning have any difficulties? If Brother Ning doesn't mind, you can tell this brother about it. As long as this brother can help, this brother will never refuse. Duan Gontai patted his chest and spoke passionately. Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before nodding and saying, "Let me ask, how did Brother Duan come here so quickly?" Duan Gontai chuckled and made an embarrassed gesture. "I know that I'm slow and afraid that I wouldn't be able to see Brother Ning for a while. Therefore, I arranged a temporary teleportation array outside Jiangzhou Star where Brother Ning is located. Fortunately, my attainments in array formations have improved a lot." Hearing this, Ning Cheng suddenly felt enlightened. With Duan Gantai's shrewdness and cunning, he should have thought of this a long time ago. Duan Gantai continued with a simple and honest voice, "I realized that my attainments in array formations are nothing compared to Brother Ning's. Brother Ning can even arrange a star-protecting grand array. It's really embarrassing for me." Since Ning Cheng couldn't find him several times, Duan Gantai decided to use a teleportation array to block his path. However, from Duan Gantai's words, Ning Cheng understood that Duan Gantai wasn't sure if he arranged the star-protecting grand array alone. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng simply said, "This star-protecting grand array also required some help. I can't arrange it by myself. Brother Duan, you think too highly of me." Duan Gantai wasn't sure if Ning Cheng's words were true or false. Therefore, he spoke up with a straight face, "Brother Ning, in any case, you can own a celestial river in such a short time and even establish a sect. Compared to Brother Ning, I find that I'm just messing around." Ning Cheng waved his hand and didn't want to continue with such hypocrisy with Duan Gantai. He simply said, "I'm going to a place and lack a breaking boundary talisman. I heard that Brother Duan has such a breaking boundary talisman. I don't know if Brother Duan can part with it." When Duan Gantai heard that Ning Cheng wanted a breaking boundary talisman, he immediately felt entangled in his heart. It wasn't easy for him to obtain this breaking boundary talisman. Now that Ning Cheng wanted it, should he give it to him or not? If he didn't give it to Ning Cheng, then only Ning Cheng had it. If he didn't give the breaking boundary talisman to Ning Cheng, then he could forget about asking Ning Cheng for it. "I do have a breaking boundary talisman, which I obtained from Yu Clan's corner. I promised a friend to give it to him, but he said that he could help me get a dozen pots of none to depend on wine. If not for that, I would have given this talisman to Brother Ning directly." Duan Gantai hesitated for a while before speaking with some embarrassment. For this breaking boundary talisman, Ning Cheng even planned to give up some of the things in the Temple of Time. He even prepared to give Duan Gantai a key to the Temple of Time. But to his surprise, Duan Gantai didn't mention anything about the Temple of Time but the none to depend on wine. The none to depend on wine was just a drink. At best, it could deepen one's understanding of the none to depend on spirit technique. Since Duan Gontai didn't know the none to depend on spirit technique, why would he want the none to depend on wine? Moreover, he wanted a dozen pots. Besides, even a dozen pots of none to depend on wine couldn't compare to a breaking boundary talisman, right? Unless he took out the real top-grade none to depend on wine he obtained from the Mo clan's secret chamber. These thoughts flashed through Ning Cheng's mind for a moment before he smiled and said, "That's a pity. I only have 3 pots of none to depend on wine. Otherwise, I could have given them to Brother Duan for free." Duan Gontai secretly cursed Ning Cheng for being shameless in his heart. Wanting his breaking boundary talisman for just 3 pots of none to depend on wine. But when he thought of the item in the Guardian Temple, he suppressed his displeasure. Not to mention 3 pots of none to depend on wine, even if it was just a pot of none to depend on wine, as long as he could comprehend the none to depend on spirit technique and enter the inner hall of the Guardian Temple, he could only pinch his nose and make the exchange. 3 pots of none to depend on are better than nothing. Many thanks, Brother Ning, for giving it to me for free. Duan Gontai quickly thanked him. Ning Cheng also politely replied, well said, it's just a small matter." Duan Gontai, on seeing that Ning Cheng didn't take out the none to depend on wine, understood that Ning Cheng's skin wasn't as thin as his. Therefore, it would be impossible for him to control Ning Cheng with words. He could only take out a jade box and open it before saying, "Ning Cheng gave me 3 pots of none to depend on for free. I don't care about that friend anymore. Since Brother Ning and I felt like old friends at first sight, then I will give this breaking boundary talisman to Brother Ning." Although he said those words, in fact, he did not hand over the box to Ning Cheng. Just as Ning Cheng did not trust him, he also did not trust Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell into the jade box and confirmed that it was a breaking boundary talisman. He also took out 3 pots of none to depend on and suspended them in front of him. He took out the none to depend on wine from Zhu Jingfeng's ring. As for the real top-quality none to depend on wine, Duan Gontai could forget about it. The two of them quickly got what they wanted, and they were both happy. Duan Gontai felt that the none to depend on wine given by Ning Cheng was of a higher grade than the real none to depend on wine he had drunk before, which made him feel a little strange. "Brother Ning, I originally wanted to go to the Temple of Time. Unfortunately, I have to give the none to depend on wine to someone else. I can only meet Brother Ning after this matter is over." Duan Gontai put away the 3 pots of none to depend on wine and spoke with a sigh. Ning Cheng grew even more suspicious. What did this Duan Gontai want? Was it more important than entering the Temple of Time? Despite his doubts, Ning Cheng didn't ask about it. He knew that it would be pointless to ask. Duan Gontai and Ning Cheng exchanged a few more polite words before quickly bringing out a flight-type weapon and flying away. In just an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng could no longer sense Duan Gantai's connecting spirit silk. Ning Cheng understood that this fellow had once again shielded his connection with the connecting spirit silk. From this, Duan Gontai definitely wanted to do something shameful. Ning Cheng felt helpless. He could only shield his connection with the connecting spirit silk. Duan Gontai was a cunning fellow, so he would never let him track him. Now that he obtained the breaking boundary talisman, if Duan Gontai didn't go to the Temple of Time, shouldn't he go to the Graceful Star Mainland first? Thinking of the suppression of the Graceful Star Mainland's laws, Ning Cheng felt a headache. Chapter 762. Ning Cheng knew that this was the most appropriate time to go to the Yixing mainland. At this time, no one would care about him. He didn't even know if Chuan Xinlo and the others were dead or alive. The Devil Domain and Demon Domain couldn't take care of themselves, while the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky wouldn't care about him. Even if it was the Grand Culmination Starry Skies, with Chen Xingwen stirring things up, they would definitely not dare to offend his mysterious yellow sect at this time. If he left Stately River Star temporarily, there would be no problem. However, if Chuan Xinlo and the others managed to escape in the future, he would have to leave Jiangzhou Star. In any case, his sister Ning Rulan was still in secluded cultivation in stately River Star. Moreover, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor had yet to return. Although his cultivation was no worse than Striking Order's, his qualifications were far inferior to Striking Order's. Moreover, even if he wanted to put up a notice in every corner of the Striking Order starry skies looking for Luofei and Qianghua, it would not be realistic without the support of Striking Order Heavenly Emperor. It had been a long time since the mysterious Yellow Sect was established, yet there was no news about Qianghua and Luofei. From this, it could be seen that the two of them were most likely in secluded cultivation. I must take advantage of this period to go to the Yixing mainland. After Ning Cheng thought about these issues, he decided that it was the most appropriate time to go to the Yixing mainland. With the breaking boundary talisman, the only restriction that the graceful star mainland placed on him was the suppression of the laws. However, Ning Cheng knew that it was absolutely impossible for him to advance to the point where he would not be suppressed by the laws of a low-level continent in a short time. Even if his mysterious yellow bead was heaven-defying, he simply did not have that many cultivation resources. If he wanted to go to the graceful star mainland as soon as possible and take back the giant's eye, then the only way was to free himself from the suppression of the low-level laws. Ning Cheng thought about how he could even simulate a celestial wheel, which meant that it was not impossible for the laws of the lower-leveled interface to not suppress him. If it didn't work, he would suppress his cultivation. The mysterious yellow formless was formless, and it could completely suppress one's cultivation to the domain realm. Without the boundary-breaking talisman, Ning Cheng wanted to speed up his cultivation and advance to the eternal realm as soon as possible. Now that he had the breaking boundary talisman, Ning Cheng decided to immediately head to the graceful star mainland after some consideration. If Striking Order Heavenly Emperor hadn't appeared by the time he returned, he would find a way to take control of the Striking Order Starry Sky and then release a message to the Striking Order Starry Sky to look for Luofei. A few days later, Ning Cheng once again stood on the receiving heaven stone, his heart filled with emotions. It was here that Yan Ji was forced to leave, and it was also here that he established his prestige and saved Yi Zhuzhu. Then, he saved Yi Zhuzhu's parents, Yi Jin and Chang Manin, in Border City. He saved Yi Zhuzhu, who was about to die, and even took out the wood essence and treated Yi Zhuzhu like his own family. But how would Yi Zhuzhu repay him? Sister Luofei, her benefactor, had been tricked into going to the Bridge of Storms. Yet, not only did she not investigate, she also did not even think about rescuing her. Instead, he emptied the immortal cave that he and Luofei used to cultivate in, giving it to the male cultivator who framed Luofei. After he came back, he even said that it was that male cultivator who harmed Luofei. However, not only did Yi Zhuzhu not feel any remorse, she even helped the enemy even more. She had completely forgotten the benevolence she and Luofei had shown her. Her heart was so cold that it was hard to believe it. If that was the case, then Ning Cheng could also think of it as Yi Zhuzhu's age, as such she would not encounter many things and would not be deceived by others. However, after he killed the man who framed Luofei, her eyes were filled with grey hatred. None of this could escape Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness. She had automatically ignored the fact that he had saved her family. Even when Luofei was trapped in the Bridge of Storms, she did not show even half a shred of anxiety or worry. Instead, she concentrated on cultivating with her sweetheart. If not for Yi Jin and Chang Manin, Ning Cheng would have already killed Yi Zhuzhu with a fireball. What he hated the most in his life were ungrateful people, and Yi Zhuzhu was no longer just an ungrateful person. These scenes flashed through Ning Cheng's mind. After a long time, Ning Cheng sighed and took out the breaking boundary talisman. Ning Cheng activated the breaking boundary talisman, which turned into a white halo that wrapped around Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness permeated out and quickly felt the various interfaces. This made Ning Cheng feel relieved. With his cultivation, he could choose the interface of the breaking boundary talisman and would not find the wrong place. A blue sea appeared in front of Ning Cheng's eyes. This was the I Ching Ocean. Ning Cheng was able to recognize it with just a glance. Not waiting for Ning Cheng to take any action, a violent aura of laws suppressed him, and the surrounding space also started to make ka-ka sounds. Space, time, and all kinds of attribute forces crazily squeezed towards Ning Cheng, as if wanting to use the destruction of this side of the world to crush Ning Cheng into pieces. Ning Cheng had a feeling that he could tear the void in this place and then leave this place. After finally returning to the graceful star mainland, how could Ning Cheng leave this place? He was just about to suppress his cultivation when the mysterious yellow bead's mysterious yellow origin aura instantly spread out. At this moment, his sea of consciousness, meridians, and dantian all started to flow with the mysterious yellow aura. What made Ning Cheng feel ridiculous was that he could even feel the aura of laws from the mysterious yellow bead. In just a few breaths, the power of the laws suppressing Ning Cheng suddenly disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng stood above the graceful star ocean in surprise and did not sober up from this change for a while. The mysterious yellow bead had actually assimilated the aura of the graceful star mainland's laws, allowing the mysterious yellow bead to absorb all the power of laws. The mysterious yellow bead had balanced the huge power gap between him and the laws of the outside world, allowing him to appear in a low-level interface without being affected. He did not need to suppress his cultivation at all, to be able to walk around in this place. In other words, even if he could cripple the graceful star mainland with a single palm strike, the laws would not be able to suppress him. Ning Cheng felt relieved, as he slowly swept out with his spiritual consciousness. Once he was no longer affected by the laws, his spiritual consciousness, except for a few places, could sweep through almost the entire graceful star mainland. He had come to the graceful star ocean a few times, and had even obtained a 9-colored mirage tree in this place. Thinking of the 9-colored mirage tree, Ning Cheng suddenly remembered a cultivator called Mu Xuanlin. This Mu Xuanlin was the sect master of a small academy. Initially, this cultivator was so poor that he had to borrow a spiritual artifact from him. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh and took out a command token. Mu Xuanlin had asked him to give this sect master token to his son, Mu Nan. However, he had too many things to take care of, as such he did not remember such a trivial matter. If not for him appearing in the graceful star ocean today, and thinking of the 9-colored mirage tree, he really would not have remembered such a trivial matter. However, this formless sect was somewhat similar to the name of his cultivation method. As Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness slowly swept out, he found that the Rainbow Falls Sword sect's imposing manner was still very strong. Although there were not many cultivators that he was familiar with, but it seemed that the development of the Rainbow Falls Sword sect was quite good. Seeing that the Rainbow Falls Sword sect was quite good, Ning Cheng also did not intend to go to the Rainbow Falls Sword sect. He was going to look for an elder sister Shu as well as Tai Shu Shi, and then go to the Forsaken Land. Ning Cheng's powerful spiritual consciousness quickly found the formless sect in the Tian continent. What made Ning Cheng speechless was that the 4-star academy that Mu Xuanlin spoke of was just a broken tile house. There was not even a decent building, nor were there any disciples coming and going. If not for the huge stone tablet outside the academy that had fallen to the ground, with the words formless sect engraved on it, Ning Cheng would not have been able to find this place. Even the stone tablet of the formless sect was now mottled and covered with moss. After a few breaths, Ning Cheng stood in front of a tile house. Among the dilapidated tile-roofed houses of the formless sect, this one could be considered slightly better. Inside the house, there was a man and 2 women. The man had the cultivation of essence building 2nd level. Of the 2 women, the one wearing a red robe had the cultivation of essence building 1st level, while the other woman wearing a gray robe had the cultivation of true condensation 3rd level. The red-robed woman had a storage ring, while the man and the gray-robed female cultivator both used storage bags. Mu Shan, how long have we been holed up here? Several of the major academies in the Tian continent are currently selecting disciples. What's the use of staying here? Over the years, our cultivation has not improved at all. If you still have a little ambition, then don't stay in this broken place. Come with me to the place where the Rainbow Falls Sword sect selects disciples. The one speaking was the red-robed female cultivator. Her tone was not only anxious, but her mood was also extremely unstable. Mu Shan pursed his lips and did not say a word. Even if the red-robed female cultivator scolded him, it would only make him look like a good-for-nothing. Big sister Hong Yi, don't scold elder brother Shan. If you want to scold someone, scold me. It was me who always persuaded elder brother Shan to stay, I'm sorry. This time, it was the gray-robed woman who spoke. The red-robed woman had not scolded the gray-robed woman, but after hearing the words of the gray-robed woman, she immediately turned around and pointed at the gray-robed woman and cursed, Chao Yun, don't make sarcastic remarks. If it weren't for a shameless woman like you, Mu Shan and I would have already become disciples of a major sect. Big sister Hong Yi, this is elder brother Shan's ancestral estate. We are all elder brother Shan's women. We should stay by elder brother Shan's side. The woman named Chao Yun spoke up with an even more cowardly tone. Slap, the red-robed woman raised her hand and slapped Chao Yun's face. Bitch, it's because of you that Mu Shan ended up in this situation. Get the hell out of here. Chao Yun held her red cheeks and retreated in panic. Enough. Mu Shan gave a cold shout, Wei Lingyu, touch your conscience. Of the cultivation resources the three of us obtained, you can use them first. I only have one ring, and it's for you. What did little Yun use? She still has a low-level storage bag, and her cultivation is only at the true condensation 3rd level. Not only are you not grateful, but you also feel uncomfortable looking at little Yun. I, Mu Shan, have no ability. As little Yun said, this is my ancestral estate. I, Mu Shan, can't climb up to you. You can go and be a core disciple of Rainbow Falls Sword sect. Little Yun and I will stay here. Mu Shan, you. Wei Lingyu didn't seem to think that Mu Shan, who had always loved her, would scold her like this. When she saw the cold expression on Mu Shan's face, she felt even more wronged. She covered her face and rushed out. Even when she saw Ning Qing outside the door, she only froze for a moment before running away again. I'm sorry, brother Shan. I'll go call big sister Hong Yi back. She was just angry for a moment. Chao Yun still had 5 finger marks on her face, but she still stood up in fear. Mu Shan shook his head, forget it. She's not someone who can share weal and woe with me. Thank you, little Yun. I've really wronged you all these years. Besides, I stayed here because I wanted to. You never tried to persuade me. Chao Yun's eyes turned red and was about to speak. But when she saw Ning Qing coming in, she quickly swallowed her words and looked at Ning Qing with doubt. Chapter 763. Your name is Mu Shan. Who is Mu Xuanlin to you? Ning Qing looked at the male cultivator in front of him and asked. Mu Shan obviously couldn't see through Ning Qing's cultivation. Now that Ning Qing asked about Mu Xuanlin, he quickly bowed and replied, replying to Senior, Mu Xuanlin is my grandfather. Then Mu Nan should be your father, right? Ning Qing could tell that Mu Shan looked like Mu Xuanlin and could guess a few things. Yes, Senior, why are you here? Mu Shan showed some caution in his eyes. A person he had never seen before came to ask about his grandfather and father, which made him feel uneasy. Your grandfather gave me this token before he died and asked me to give it to Mu Nan. I haven't had time to come over because I've been busy. But this time, I happened to see your sect. Your father, Mu Nan, isn't here, so it's the same for you. Ning Qing finished and stuffed the sect master token into Mu Shan's hand. Mu Shan heard Ning Qing's words and took the token with trembling hands. His eyes immediately turned red. His father had told him that his grandfather would come back before he died. He had stayed here not only to guard the broken formless sect, but also to wait for his grandfather to return. But now, his grandfather hadn't returned, and only a sect master token came back. Mu Shan grabbed the token with both hands and bowed to Ning Cheng. Many thanks, Senior, for bringing back my formless sect's token. Please tell me your name, benefactor. This junior will always remember Senior's kindness. For Mu Shan, he knew very well that he had no chance to repay Ning Cheng's kindness. This kindness could only be engraved in his heart. Ning Cheng nodded, it's just a small matter. You don't have to worry about it. I've only met your grandfather a few times. Your grandfather's wish is to strengthen the formless sect in the future. I hope you can work hard to cultivate and fulfill your grandfather's last wish. Now that I've delivered the token, I'm leaving. Ning Cheng came here purely to help. He had helped Mu Xuanlin in the past. Now that he had brought Mu Xuanlin's sect master token, it was just a matter of lifting a finger. Seeing Ning Cheng about to leave, Mu Shan quickly said, Senior, please wait. This junior has a few words to say to Senior. After that, Mu Shan turned to Chao Yun and said softly, Little Yun, you go out first. I have a few words to say to this senior alone. Chao Yun answered obediently and turned to leave. Ning Cheng, on the other hand, was a bit puzzled, although when Chao Yun came out of the door, he could see that this Chao Yun was a bit strange. However, according to Mu Shan's attitude towards Chao Yun, he shouldn't have asked her to go out. Senior, before Junior's father left, Junior's father had said that if one day grandfather really didn't return, and instead sent someone to bring back the sect head's token, then I was to give away the formless sect stone tablet, and then leave the formless sect. In addition to guarding the formless sect, I am also guarding the steel. After Chao Yun left, Mu Shan spoke with a respectful tone. Stone tablet? Ning Cheng felt a little puzzled. It's the stone tablet with the 3 words formless school carved on it. It's the one that's covered in moss outside the school. The 3 words formless sect were added later. Mu Shan quickly explained on seeing Ning Cheng's doubts. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately fell on the unremarkable stone tablet lying on the ground outside. This time he paid attention to it, and really found that the 3 words formless academy were different. The 2 words formless had a lot of momentum, and it even had a hint of a vague aura. However, the word sect was flat and didn't have even the slightest bit of momentum. What shocked Ning Cheng even more was that after his spiritual consciousness penetrated into the stone tablet, he found a small area that he couldn't sweep through. Not only that, but he also felt a familiar aura. This stone tablet definitely wasn't ordinary. Ning Cheng didn't immediately take the stone tablet. He had already decided to help Mu Shan. Regardless of whether the stone tablet was ordinary or not, Mu Shan could follow his father's instructions and guard the formless sect stone tablet. Ning Cheng also valued this kind of person. Mu Shan, I think you and that Chao Yun seem to have a good relationship. Why did you call Chao Yun out when you talked to me? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. Mu Shan quickly responded, Senior, my father told me that the stone tablet cannot be leaked. It can only be given to the person who brings back the formless sect head's token. Moreover, when you give the stone tablet away, no third party should be around. Otherwise, it would only harm others and yourself. There was one more sentence that Mu Shan didn't say. His father once said that the cultivator who could return an unremarkable 4-star sect head's token to the formless sect was qualified to own the stone tablet. Do you know the origin of the stone tablet? Ning Cheng asked again. Mu Shan nodded, my great-grandfather obtained the stone tablet because the stone tablet had the 2 words formless on it. My great-grandfather felt that the stone tablet was unusual, so he added the word sect behind the 2 words formless and established the formless sect. After this stone tablet is sent away, the formless sect can be considered to have disappeared. So that was the case. Ning Qing felt even more favorable towards Mu Shan. He also understood what Mu Nan meant. The Mu clan hadn't been able to solve the mystery of the stone tablet for several generations. Mu Shan's aptitude was average and shouldn't have been able to solve it. Since this stone tablet was different, if it was placed in Mu Shan's hands, not only would it waste Mu Shan's time, it might even cause trouble for him. Therefore, Mu Nan simply asked his son Mu Shan to give the stone tablet away. I just saw that you seem to have two female confidants. Ning Qing didn't ask about the stone tablet anymore but asked about the two women. After Mu Shan heard Ning Qing's words, his face suddenly turned red, and he spoke up with some embarrassment, "This junior's family matters have made senior laugh." Ning Qing showed a slight smile, "I'm not laughing. I just want to ask what you plan to do." Mu Shan didn't know why this senior wanted to ask about these things, but since Ning Qing asked, he had to say it. "Hong Yi and Little Yun are both people I like. It's just that Hong Yi isn't used to sharing joys and sorrows with me. I plan to take Little Yun away from here and become a rogue cultivator. I heard Hong Yi say that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect is recruiting disciples. She's right. Why don't you go to the Rainbow Fall Sword sect?" Ning Qing asked in doubt. Mu Shan shook his head. "The Rainbow Fall Sword sect is very far from here, and we don't have the spirit stones to go to that place. Besides, even if we go there, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect wouldn't take a liking to us. I have this self-awareness." Ning Qing, however, spoke up, "Mu Shan, if I were you, I would choose between these two women. I would choose Wei Lingyu, not that Chao Yun who shares joys and sorrows with you." "Ah." Mu Shan looked at Ning Qing in disbelief. "Not with the woman who shares joys and sorrows with him, but with that selfish woman? How could there be such a choice?" Ning Qing replied with a calm voice, "That Chao Yun doesn't really want to be with you. Not only does she have a lot of cultivation resources, but she also sealed her cultivation. Her real cultivation is at the profound core 2nd level, not the true condensation 3rd level." Previously, when he casually glanced at her, Ning Qing really thought that Chao Yun was at the true condensation 3rd level. For an ordinary female cultivator, he naturally wouldn't care about it, let alone use his spiritual consciousness to spy on her. Later, when Chao Yun walked past him, his gaze fell on Chao Yun for the 2nd time. Only then did he notice a restriction on Chao Yun's body. Because Chao Yun sealed this restriction herself, it didn't give off any fluctuations. Moreover, he didn't care about it, which was why he ignored it at first glance. But now that he cared about Mu Shan, he naturally cared about it. Chao Yun not only sealed her cultivation with her own restriction, but she also had a storage bracelet. It's just that her storage bracelet was hanging on her chest, which Ning Qing didn't pay attention to. Moreover, Chao Yun's storage bracelet contained a lot of high-rank spirit stones. In contrast, the number of spirit stones in Mu Shan's ring was pitiful. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness even caught up with Wei Lingyu and forcibly opened Wei Lingyu's ring. The spirit stones inside were also pitiful, no more than Mu Shan's. From this, it could be seen that Chao Yun's pitiful and considerate appearance was just an act. Mu Shan's mouth opened wide. He couldn't believe Ning Qing's words at all. He knew Chao Yun too well. How could she put a restriction on herself and seal her cultivation? He didn't have anything to deceive him with. Besides, if Chao Yun really wanted his things, wouldn't it be simpler to ask him directly or kill him directly? Does Wei Lingyu often beat up Chao Yun? Ning Qing ignored Mu Shan's surprise and asked another question. Mu Shan apparently hadn't recovered from Ning Qing's previous words. It took him a while to reply, "No, it's the first time Hong Yi beat up Little Yun." Ning Qing sneered, "If I didn't guess wrong, as long as Wei Lingyu didn't come back, Chao Yun would kill her." Why? Mu Shan still didn't want to accept Ning Qing's inference. Ning Qing didn't answer. Instead, he released his domain and raised his hand to grab something. After a few breaths, a crystal ball appeared in Ning Cheng's hand. He threw the crystal ball to Mu Shan and said, "See for yourself." This crystal ball was the memory crystal ball Ning Cheng had obtained from Chao Yun. Chao Yun had stayed in formless sect to find something. She only knew that this thing was extraordinary, and Mu Xuanlin's father had obtained it. As for what it was, she didn't know. It's just that when she came here, Mu Xuanlin's father had already fallen, and Mu Xuanlin had also disappeared for a long time. Mu Xuanlin's son, Mu Nan, had also fallen, leaving only Mu Nan's son, Mu Shan. With Chao Yun's strength, she couldn't search the soul of Mu Shan, who had an essence-building cultivation. She could only stay by Mu Shan's side and keep knocking on his door. In order to stay here alone with Mu Shan, she swallowed her anger and pretended to be meek. It's just that Mu Shan remembered his father's teachings and never revealed the secret of formless sect stone steel. After a long time, Chao Yun started to like Mu Shan. She wanted to find a chance to kill Wei Lingyu, but Wei Lingyu never left Mu Shan's side. This time, Wei Lingyu left in anger, which was exactly what she wanted. She didn't expect that Ning Cheng would come here with the sect master token, which immediately made her heart beat faster. Unfortunately, she hid outside and listened for a long time but didn't hear anything. She looked up and froze. Mu Shan was standing in front of her in a daze. "Mu Shan, you!" Wei Lingyu immediately cried out in surprise. Since Mu Shan could come here, he must have chased after her. This made the grievances in her heart lessen a lot. After following Mu Shan for so many years, Mu Shan finally didn't forget her. Mu Shan felt shocked in his heart. He had come here before, so he was familiar with this place. It was at least a few thousand miles away from the formless sect. That senior called Ning Cheng had casually rolled him up and brought him to this place. Even a crucible transformation senior would not have such a powerful spiritual ability, right? "Mu Shan, what's wrong with you?" Seeing Mu Shan's blank look, Wei Lingyu quickly called out again. Mu Shan recovered and stepped forward to grab Wei Lingyu's hand. "Hong Yi, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you before. That's all in the past. Since you don't want to go to a big sect, let's go back to the formless sect." Although Wei Lingyu wanted Mu Shan to come with her, she knew that Mu Shan wouldn't leave the formless sect easily. Mu Shan shook his head. "No, Hong Yi, let's go to the Rainbow Falls Sword sect now. I got a recommendation from a senior. He said that as long as I take out the crystal ball, wait." At this point, Mu Shan stopped talking and muttered to himself, "Ning Cheng, Senior Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng." Wei Lingyu felt happy when she heard that Mu Shan was willing to go to the big sect's disciple selection with her. But now, seeing Mu Shan talking about Ning Cheng, she looked at Mu Shan in doubt. She didn't understand why Mu Shan called Ning Cheng Senior. "I understand. Senior Ning Cheng is the sect master of the Rainbow Falls Sword sect. He single-handedly fought against several big sects and even destroyed the Red Star Sword faction. He even took out the Mirage Stones to complete the Heaven's Way." Mu Shan trembled with excitement. He finally remembered who Ning Cheng was. He was the most famous powerhouse in the entire Tian continent. "You said that the one who recommended you to the Rainbow Falls Sword sect was Sect Master Ning, Senior Ning Cheng?" Wei Lingyu finally reacted. She felt even more excited than Mu Shan. She remembered the young cultivator she saw when she rushed out of the door. Mu Shan spoke up incoherently, "Yes, it's Sect Master Ning, let me see." After Mu Shan knew Ning Cheng's identity, he quickly swept into the ring with his spiritual consciousness. However, he immediately froze. Piles of medicinal pills, piles of spirit stones, top-grade cultivation methods, top-quality true artifacts. After a long time, Mu Shan sucked in a breath of cold air. No wonder Senior Ning Cheng said that these things could help him cultivate to the crucible transformation realm. With so many things, did he still want to go to the Rainbow Falls Sword sect? What's wrong? Wei Lingyu felt excited and worried about Mu Shan's state. Mu Shan took in a deep breath and pulled Wei Lingyu, trying to calm down his excitement. Hong Yi, let's go. Chao Yun was still outside the house. Just when she felt a little dizzy, Ning Qing came out. Senior. Chao Yun quickly bowed to Ning Qing. Ning Qing nodded. The thing that Mu Shan's grandfather, Mu Xuanlin, obtained is the formless sex stone steel. Mu Shan stayed here to give the stone steel to me. I've already sent Mu Shan away, and I've also taken away the stone steel. You don't have to stay here. Remove the restrictions in your body. Let's go. Ah, senior, this junior doesn't understand what senior means. Chao Yun spoke up in fear. Ning Qing sighed. Even he had to admit that Chao Yun's acting skills were truly impressive. He took out a crystal ball and handed it to Chao Yun. Mu Shan asked me to leave this for you. You don't have to give it to me. While speaking, Ning Qing raised his hand and rolled up the stone steel with the 3 words formless sect. After Chao Yun read the crystal ball, her entire body trembled. She didn't expect that someone could read her deepest memories. It was simply terrifying. Remember, don't go looking for trouble with Mu Shan. Otherwise, your cultivation will truly stop at the true condensation 3rd level forever. Ning Qing's voice came over, but his figure had already disappeared. Chao Yun looked at the place where Ning Qing disappeared in horror. She didn't expect that graceful Star Mainland would have such a powerhouse who could capture her thoughts. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon, his spiritual consciousness fell on the celestial moon pill gate. He saw a starry sky level restriction here. How could a starry sky level restriction appear in a place like graceful Star Mainland? After a few breaths, Ning Qing stood outside the restriction. It was a sealed cemetery, but it gave off a familiar aura. Who are you? How dare you come here and offend my celestial moon pill sect? A voice came from behind Ning Qing. Apparently, it was the cultivator guarding the cemetery. Who built this cemetery? Who arranged the defensive array restrictions around it? Ning Qing's voice sounded calm, but under the suppression of his powerful imposing aura, the cultivator guarding the cemetery couldn't put up any resistance. After half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Qing left the celestial moon pill sect. He didn't expect that an E would tear through the void here. To be able to tear through the void without being suppressed by the laws here, one had to be an expert above the eternal realm. Not everyone could be like him, with a strong body and the mysterious yellow bead. But how could an E cultivate above the eternal realm? Even if an Yi's qualifications were heaven-defying, she didn't have any cultivation resources. Unless she was originally a cultivator in the eternal realm or above, but her cultivation had been sealed by someone, and then unsealed. Ning Qing thought back to when his cultivation was still low, and Yi's master had said that an E wasn't an ordinary person and that an E couldn't marry. Thinking back to an Yi's statue, which he had put away, he felt as if he wanted to catch hold of something, but he couldn't. An Yi's first master didn't have a high cultivation. One could even say that she had a low cultivation. Since she knew that an E wasn't ordinary, something must have happened when she adopted an E. But she didn't say anything about it. In any case, since an E could tear through the void and leave, it showed that an E was no longer that weak little nun. Ning Qing felt happy for an E. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness couldn't find Tai Shu Shi and Lan Shu, but he saw Zhu Mu, Zhang Shua, Zhang Sun Yan and other acquaintances. Half an hour later, Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness stopped at the periphery of a makeshift market. He saw a young female cultivator who looked somewhat similar to Luofei. When his spiritual consciousness left this female cultivator and swept into the corner of the makeshift market, he saw 2 more acquaintances. Ji Luofei's mother, Xiong Qi Hua, and Zhu Hongwen, who always followed Xiong Qi Hua. Xiong Qi Hua seemed to be injured, and Zhu Hongwen was accompanying Xiong Qi Hua. They should be at the edge of the Lost Mountain Range, where there was a river called Imola River, which Ning Qing had been to before. When he and Meng Jingxiu came out of the Angry Axe Valley, they had landed at the edge, near the Mo La River. That place used to be deserted, but now it had become a small makeshift market, with many cultivators coming and going from the edge of the Lost Mountain Range. Ning Qing guessed that something must have happened in the Lost Mountain Range, which made it less dangerous. Otherwise, ordinary cultivators would never dare to enter the Lost Mountain Range. Ning Qing didn't need to guess, he immediately knew that the female cultivator who looked somewhat similar to Luofei was Xiong Chi-hua's second daughter. Thinking that Xiong Chi-hua had unexpectedly told Luofei that she was pregnant because of herself, Ning Qing couldn't help but feel speechless in his heart. He shook his head and did not intend to greet her. Ning Qing was just about to take back his spiritual consciousness, when he saw a green-robed woman walk up to the female cultivator who looked somewhat similar to Luofei, and seemed to be speaking in a stern voice. Just after saying a few words, that woman raised her hand and slapped Luofei's cheap little sister across the face. After the green-robed woman finished slapping her, she scolded her a few more times before leaving. Luofei's little sister covered her face with her hands, but her expression was also very calm. It seemed that she had experienced this kind of thing many times. Ning Qing hesitated for a moment, but after thinking about it, he still decided to leave. After entering the private room, Zhu Nianfei activated the private room's restrictions and then poured a cup of tea for Ning Qing. The tea in the booth wasn't even the lowest grade spiritual tea. Ning Qing understood that Zhu Nianfei didn't have any extra spirit stones to buy spiritual tea. Seeing Ning Qing take a sip from the teacup, Zhu Nianfei hurriedly asked, "Brother-in-law, why did you come to this place? Is my sister here too?" Ning Qing paused for a moment, and then spoke, "Your sister has not come yet, I came here to help a friend take something back." "Brother-in-law, my mother said that you are not simple. You must be doing very well, right? I cannot see through your cultivation, are you about to reach the essence building realm? Is my sister's cultivation the same as yours? Where are you?" Zhu Nianfei didn't feel the slightest bit unfamiliar with Ning Qing. When she talked to Ning Qing, it was as if he was her own family member. He casually threw out a bunch of questions. About to reach the essence building realm? Ning Qing coughed and thought to himself, "I'm a middle-stage life and death expert. If you can see through my cultivation, would I still be able to live?" As for essence building realm, he didn't know how long ago it was. "I also wandered around and lived as a wanderer for a while. Later, I finally found a place to settle down, and Luofei should be going back soon." Zhu Nianfei didn't think too much about Ning Qing's words. In her mind, Luofei and Ning Qing should be living together. It's just that her sister went out to look for resources, and her brother-in-law came here to get something. As for her sister going out to look for resources alone, it was normal for her. She had lived like this and lived like this. Didn't she need to look for resources by herself for cultivation? As for danger, wasn't there always danger in cultivation? I just saw a green-robed woman slap you, and I saw that you looked a bit similar to Luofei, so I came over to see." Ning Qing could see through Zhu Nianfei's temperament. She was a very direct person. Zhu Nianfei touched her face in embarrassment and said, "It's nothing. It's not the first time. I owe them spirit stones, and there's no way to pay them off. It's only right for me to get slapped." "How many spirit stones do you owe them?" Ning Qing asked in doubt. "More than 50,000 middle-grade spirit stones." Zhu Nianfei sighed. Ning Qing looked at Zhu Nianfei in disbelief. "How could you owe so much?" Ning Qing wouldn't even bend down to pick up more than 50,000 middle-grade spirit stones if he threw it on the ground. But for Zhu Nianfei, who could only take out a single middle-grade spirit stone, it was a huge sum of money that she couldn't repay in a lifetime. "My mother got seriously injured in the Lost Mountain Range and needs a lot of healing pills. I don't have any extra spirit stones to buy medicinal pills, so I can only borrow them. My father has to take care of my mother, so only my brother and I can pay back these spirit stones. Zhu Nianfei said helplessly. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept towards Zhu Hongwen, who had already reached the essence building third level. Just as Ji Luofei said, Xiong Qihua's injuries required the help of true essence from time to time. Otherwise, her meridians would rupture, turning her into a complete cripple. Zhu Hongwen most likely stayed by Xiong Qihua's side to help her. Do you have a younger brother? Ning Cheng asked casually. Zhu Nianfei nodded, yes, my younger brother's name is Zhu Nianluo. He entered the Lost Mountain Range. Then you called me here and even spent a middle-grade spirit stone. Do you have something to talk to me about? If you don't have enough spirit stones, I still have some here. Ning Cheng asked. He guessed that Zhu Nianfei wanted to borrow spirit stones from him. Zhu Nianfei hesitated for a while before speaking, yes, I originally had this plan. But now that I know that you and Big Sister are also in a difficult situation, I'll forget about borrowing spirit stones. When Ning Cheng said that he was a wanderer and had just found a place to settle down, Zhu Nianfei immediately dispelled the idea of borrowing spirit stones from Ning Cheng. They at least had a place to settle down, while Ning Cheng had just found a place to settle down. This place wasn't the Tian continent, and she didn't know about Ning Cheng's fame. She took it for granted that Ning Cheng was just like them and had a hard time. She also didn't know that the place Ning Cheng mentioned was a celestial river within the starry sky and not a simple immortal cave in a makeshift market. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to speak, Zhu Nianfei continued, I came here to explain one more thing to you. When my mother got injured, she told me that if I could see you one day, I must apologize to you. The reason why my mother lied to my big sister back then was because she really didn't want to be separated from my big sister. After that, Zhu Nianfei stood up and bowed to Ning Cheng before sitting down again. Brother-in-law should know that my mother's name is Xiong Qihua. In fact, my mother and my father were lovers before she married my big sister's father. It's just that the Ji clan is too powerful, and my grandfather didn't allow my mother to be with a grassroots person like my father. So, he decided to marry my mother to the Ji clan. My father didn't feel at ease with my mother, so he followed her to the Ji clan and became a servant. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He didn't like people like Xiong Qihua. Moreover, he also didn't like Zhu Hongwen. Zhu Nianfei didn't notice Ning Cheng's expression and continued, although my father was my mother's servant, he never crossed the line. It wasn't until the Ji clan fell that they moved to the Ping continent. In the Dan forest, the entire Ji clan perished, and my father desperately tried to protect my mother as she escaped. It wasn't until my mother learned of Ji Xuanzhang's death that she and my father lived in seclusion in the Dan forest. As for the rest, my mother said that you already know. Whether you and my big sister see my mother or not, I've already brought these words to you. Thank you for listening to my long-winded words. I'm leaving now. Boom. Zhu Nianfei had just stood up when the restrictions around the box exploded. The shop assistant from before stood at the door of the box, and behind him were two people. One of them was the green-robed woman who slapped Zhu Nianfei before, and the other was a middle-aged man with brown hair. Ning Cheng had already seen the three people coming up, but he didn't speak. Since Zhu Nianfei owed someone spirit stones, he guessed that this person was here to collect the debt. As for how much she owed, he would help her pay it back. It's time for you to replenish your spirit stones. The time limit for a middle-rank spirit stone has already passed. The shop assistant pointed at Zhu Nianfei and spoke. Fear flashed across Zhu Nianfei's face, but she quickly regained her composure and said, I've calculated the time. It should be just the right time. The shop assistant sneered, that's because you've just arrived. As long as we exceed the time limit by even a breath, it will be calculated as the second spirit stone. You. Zhu Nianfei almost became speechless from anger when she heard such unreasonable words. However, her patience was truly unparalleled. She instantly adjusted her anger and spoke with a soft tone, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that there was such a rule. Please allow me to go back and find a way. The shop assistant still wanted to speak, but the green-robed woman directly walked to the front and sneered, "Jun Yanfei, do you think that we're easy to bully? You came to the rest stops box with spirit stones, yet you say that you don't have spirit stones to pay us back. Sister Xia Xian, I really don't have spirit stones. My brother-in-law came over today, so I took out my only middle-rank spirit stone and invited my brother-in-law to the rest stop to have a chat. Sister Xia Xian, please give me a few more days. I will definitely raise some spirit stones to pay you back." Jun Yanfei spoke with sincerity. If Ning Qing didn't know that this green-robed woman had slapped Jun Yanfei, he would have thought that Jun Yanfei and this green-robed woman had a good relationship. A few more days. How many more days have we given you? Why don't you go to a place where you can earn spirit stones? The green-robed woman spoke with disdain. Jun Yanfei spoke up with even more sincerity, "Sister Xia Xian, I won't go to the dual cultivation house even if I die. Sister Xia Xian, please rest assured that I will definitely raise some spirit stones to pay you back." Bitch, you only know how to find excuses to drag. The green-robed woman raised her hand and slapped Jun Yanfei again. Chapter 766. Before the green-robed female cultivator could slap Jun Yanfei's face, everyone heard a slap sound. The next moment, the green-robed female cultivator spat out a mouthful of blood and flew out. She then slammed into the restrictions of the opposite booth and blasted it open. The man and woman in the booth stood up. But when they saw the green-robed woman and the brown-haired middle-aged man, they didn't dare to say a word and quickly left. The green-robed woman climbed up from the ground and spat out a few teeth and a mouthful of blood. She then looked around in horror and saw a purple mark on her face. What happened? The brown-haired man also looked around in amazement and asked at the same time. The green-robed woman shook her head in confusion, "I don't know. Someone suddenly slapped me, but I don't know who did it." In their view, no one had moved at all. No need to look around. I was the one who slapped you just now. How many spirit stones does Jun Yanfei owe you? Ning Qing took a step forward and asked. At this time, the green-robed woman and the brown-haired middle-aged man remembered that Ning Qing was still nearby. Hearing that Ning Qing had slapped them, the two immediately showed panic in their eyes. At this moment, they discovered that they couldn't see through Ning Qing's cultivation at all. Without moving, Ning Qing gathered his true essence and slapped a late-stage true condensation cultivator across the air. This was definitely a method above the soul essence realm. Soul essence cultivator, even if they borrowed their strongest powerhouse, it still wouldn't be enough. Replying to Senior, "It's 5. No, it's 30,000 middle-grade spirit stones." The brown-haired middle-aged man reacted first and quickly bowed. 50,000 mid-grade spirit stones were obtained through compounding interest. But with a powerhouse like Ning Qing here, who was also Jun Yanfei's brother-in-law, how could they dare to ask for interest from Jun Yanfei? Ning Qing was just about to take out 50,000 middle-grade spirit stones when his hand suddenly stopped midway. He remembered that he didn't have any middle-grade spirit stones. The worst thing he had was high-grade spirit stones, top-grade spirit stones, starry sky crystals, perpetual moon pills, and so on. Jun Yanfei felt pleasantly surprised to learn that Ning Qing was so powerful that Chang Sheshuan didn't dare to take interest. "Brother-in-law, you don't have to help me. I have a way to pay you back." Jun Yanfei, who was pleasantly surprised, saw Ning Qing's hand stop and immediately guessed that Ning Qing didn't have enough spirit stones. "No need." Ning Qing waved his hand, and 3,000 high-grade spirit stones immediately floated in front of the green-robed woman. "Pick up your spirit stones and scram as far as you can." Ning Qing spoke in a sarcastic tone. "Yes, yes." Not to mention that Ning Qing was willing to return the spirit stones, even if Ning Qing did not return the spirit stones, after seeing Ning Qing's strength, the green-robed female cultivator and the brown-haired middle-aged man would not dare to say half a word. "Senior. They forced me to come here. My rest stop will never charge for a little more time." Seeing the green-robed female cultivator and the brown-haired man walk away in panic, the shop assistant felt dumbfounded. He was also very quick-witted and quickly explained to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng ignored the shop assistant and took out a storage bag before handing it to Zhu Nianfei. "There's a jade box inside. Take the medicinal pills inside and give them to your mother. I'm sure she'll recover soon. I'm leaving too." Ning Cheng took a look, if Ji Luofei's mother recovered from her injuries. Their strength wasn't too bad in this place, and 2 essence-building cultivators were more than enough to gain a foothold here. By the time Zhu Nianfei took the storage bag, Ning Cheng had already walked far away. Seeing Ning Cheng disappear, the shop assistant also quickly left quietly. Even if someone gave him more courage, he wouldn't dare to go against Ji Luofei. Zhu Nianfei stood in a daze for a long time before reacting. Hearing Ning Cheng say that the storage bag contained medicinal pills that could help her mother recover, she quickly swept in with her spiritual consciousness. The first thing she saw wasn't the jade box containing the medicinal pills, but a ring. Using a storage bag to store a ring. Zhu Nianfei instantly understood Ning Cheng's meaning. Living alone in this place, she had long since honed her mind to become extremely smooth and delicate. She walked to a secluded place, grabbed the ring in her hand, and swept in with her spiritual consciousness. Tens of millions of high-grade spirit stones, along with bottles of medicinal pills, piled up like a small mountain of spirit artifacts and true artifacts. It almost made her scream. Just as Ning Cheng guessed, after Zhu Nianfei recovered from the shock, she quickly suppressed her excitement and put away the things with a calm expression. Then, she walked towards her residence at a leisurely pace. No matter how calm she looked on the surface, it couldn't calm her raging heart. What kind of treasures did Ning Cheng obtain? How could he take out so many things so casually? Even a medium-sized sect couldn't take out so many things, right? Ning Cheng's attitude towards her didn't seem very intimate, yet he still took out so many things for her. From this, it could be seen that this brother-in-law had many times more treasures than this. The things that Ning Cheng gave to Zhu Nianfei were a shocking wealth for Zhu Nianfei. For Ning Cheng, it was just giving away these useless things that took up a lot of space. As for taking away Zhu Nianfei's family, Ning Cheng never thought about it. He had helped Xiong Qihua and Zhu Nianfei out of respect for Luofei. It was absolutely impossible to bring someone like Zhu Hongwen to meet Luofei, and he would never do such a thing. By this time, Ning Cheng had already arrived at the deepest part of the Lost Mountain Range. Although the edge of the Lost Mountain Range wasn't as dangerous as before, Ning Cheng still felt a strong suction force from the center of the Lost Mountain Range. If Ning Cheng were still at the Crucible Transformation Realm or even below the Domain Realm, he wouldn't have been able to withstand this suction force. But now, this suction force felt like a vacuum cleaner to Ning Cheng's palm. It didn't affect him in the slightest. At the center of the Lost Mountain Range, there was a huge crater. A person sat at the edge of the crater. The reason why Ning Cheng came here was that he knew this person. It was a red-robed woman. When Rulan asked for her name, this woman said that she was called Xingxin and then said that she didn't know who he was. "It's you." As soon as Ning Cheng arrived at the edge of the crater, the red-robed woman recognized Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded, "Yes, it's me. Have you been staying in this place?" He had already guessed that this red-robed woman wasn't simple. But now that Ning Cheng saw her, he felt even more shocked. He was already at the middle stage life and death realm, yet he still couldn't see the cultivation of this red-robed woman. The red-robed woman nodded, "Yes, I remember that I came from here. Originally, I should have gone back from here, but I had a feeling that once I went in, I would never be able to go back. Over the years, I've seen all the people and flying weapons that fell into this place, but none of them managed to come out. I've been hesitating, should I go in, or should I not go in? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept into the crater, but what shocked Ning Cheng was that even with his powerful spiritual consciousness, after entering the crater, it instantly disappeared without a trace. He simply couldn't detect even the slightest trace of it. Previously, he had thought that this was the only suction force in this place and didn't take the center of the Lost Mountain range seriously. But now he realized that his thoughts were completely wrong. After the red-robed woman finished, she didn't care about Ning Cheng's answer. Instead, she looked at Ning Cheng in doubt and spoke, "Hey, I'm the only one who can come here. How did you come here?" "I saw you, so I came over to say hello." "You've been here for so many years, did you only think about that one question?" Ning Cheng asked. "No, I'm still thinking about who I am." The red-robed woman looked at Ning Cheng with her head tilted to the side and replied. Then she seemed to have thought of something and added, "I went to see you when you were crossing your tribulation. It was because I felt a strange aura. I felt like I had seen a similar aura somewhere before." Ning Cheng felt surprised in his heart. The aura that he exposed when he was crossing his tribulation was obviously the aura of the mysterious yellow origin or a good fortune treasure. Since this red-robed woman had seen this kind of aura before, then her origin was definitely not ordinary. "I'm leaving." Ning Cheng spoke up. This red-robed woman was very dangerous, that was what he felt. "Wait." The red-robed woman called out to Ning Cheng, "You are the only person apart from me who could come here. Can you answer the question I just asked? Should I go down from here?" Ning Cheng hesitated for a moment before speaking, "I think that if you go down from here, you still won't be able to go back. I guess that going down from here is not the place you want to go, but rather a very scary place." The red-robed woman grabbed her hair in a messy manner, as she kept speaking, "What should I do? What should I do?" As she kept asking about what to do, the red-robed woman's expression became more and more anxious, more and more panicked. It seemed that the question that she had been wondering about had finally been answered, but she did not get the answer she deserved. Ning Cheng sighed and spoke, "You don't have to worry about it. If you believe me, then you can come with me. I will take you away from the Yixing mainland. I guess you should be living in a more advanced interface." If one had to speak about sympathy, then Ning Cheng indeed felt some sympathy for this red-robed woman. More importantly, he knew that this red-robed woman was not a sinister person. The Yixing mainland was a place with low laws. With the cultivation of this red-robed woman, she could easily destroy the entire mainland with a wave of her hand. However, she did not do so. It was not that she did not want to do so, but she knew the consequences of doing so. However, even if she did not do it now, it did not mean that she would not do it in the future. If one day, she really could not figure out this problem, and ended up destroying the Yixing mainland, then it would truly be over. "You said that you can take me back." The red-robed woman immediately put down the hand that was ravaging her hair and grabbed Ning Cheng in surprise. Ning Cheng had to reply, "I just said that I might be able to help you find your hometown. However, I am not sure about this kind of thing, nor can I guarantee it." Contrary to Ning Cheng's expectations, the red-robed woman felt very satisfied with Ning Cheng's words, Of course. I have been here for so many years, yet I have not come up with a way. If you take me with you, then you will definitely have to look for it slowly." "I will come with you." "Well, I will seal this place first," Ning Cheng said as he took out some array flags and began to arrange them. "I'll help you." The red-robed woman finished and also took out some array flags to help Ning Cheng arrange them. Her attainments in array formations were not any lower than Ning Cheng's. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. This red-robed woman's cultivation was indeed higher than his, even her attainments in array formations were amazing. After an hour, the two of them completely sealed the huge pit. Ning Cheng turned around and said, "My name is Ning Cheng, but I will call you Lost Heart from now on. Let's go now, you and I will go get something and then leave the Yixing mainland." Chapter 767. Don't you have a sister named Ning Rulan? What about your sister? Why isn't she with you? The red-robed woman asked an irrelevant question. Rulan is in secluded cultivation. You don't have to worry about it. Remember not to ask about it if you're with me. Otherwise, I'll do whatever you want. Then can I be your sister and call you Ning Rulan? After the red-robed woman finished, she saw Ning Cheng's unhappy expression and quickly said, I just don't think the name Xingxin is very good. I originally called myself Xingxin because I was afraid that people would forget that I came from the Lost Mountain Range. Now that we're leaving this place, I think I should change my name to something better. If you don't think it's good to be your sister, then I'll be your elder sister. I'll also be called Ning Rulan. Ning Qing felt that the red-robed woman's intelligence must have suffered some damage when she crossed positional planes or interfaces. He had to speak up patiently, no need for elder sister. You can't be my elder sister. If you want to change your name, then let's call you Ning Ruo. Ning Ruoqing. You're also my sister. The red-robed woman didn't care about it at all. She grabbed Ning Cheng's hand in surprise and said, Okay, I'm your sister, Ning Ruoqing. Well, now that you have a good name, come with me to a place, and then I'll take you out of here. Before the red-robed woman called her Ning Ruoqing, Ning Cheng had only wanted to take her out of graceful Star Mainland out of sympathy or a bit of worry. But after the red-robed woman changed her name to Ning Ruoqing and wanted to be Ning Cheng's sister, Ning Cheng felt an inexplicable sense of closeness in his heart. He felt that his feelings towards the red-robed woman had completely changed. This kind of feeling, even Ning Cheng himself felt that it was very strange. It was as if this red-robed woman was really his sister, Ning Ruoqing, and he was Ning Ruoqing's elder brother. Ning Cheng didn't know that he would one day be regarded as arrogant and ignorant when he agreed to let the red-robed woman call him elder brother. The hidden mist cemetery looked the same as when Ning Cheng first came here. It was still shrouded in a gloomy and cold mist. But unlike before, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness directly swept through everything in the hidden mist cemetery. Any array formations, restrictions, or anything else in the hidden mist cemetery that could obstruct one's spiritual consciousness would not be able to hide from his spiritual consciousness. Is the thing you're looking for here? Ning Ruoqing followed behind Ning Cheng. She would do whatever Ning Cheng wanted to do. Now that she saw Ning Cheng stop in this place, she immediately asked about it. Ning Cheng gave an sound, yes, let's go in from here. I suddenly thought of something very strange. Coming to this place, Ning Cheng could tear apart all the restrictions and isolation array formations of the Forsaken Land as long as he raised his hand. However, he suddenly thought of something. Why did the Yixing mainland have so many powerhouses? This was just a low-level world. In front of him was Ning Ruoqing, who wanted to become his little sister, Song Wei, who he had saved in the Blood River Mountains, Tai Shu Shi's ancestor, Tai Shu Yi, and that soul-devouring old man underground. Not only that, but there were also many strange things in this place, the Forsaken Land, the Angry Axe Valley, and several immortal mansions. Moreover, his Star River was also obtained from one of the gates of the Immortal Mansion. Thinking of the Immortal Mansion, Ning Cheng immediately thought of the white-haired old woman. Ning Cheng couldn't find the white-haired old woman, nor did he see the old man. That old man's cauldron was a good item, but unfortunately, he had scared the old man away. Ning Cheng guessed that he had secretly hidden himself. What's the matter? Ning Ruoqing asked casually. Ning Cheng thought about it for a while before looking at Ning Ruoqing and asking, Do you have any impression of what happened before you came to this place? Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Ning Ruoqing started rubbing her hair again. Ning Cheng quickly said, Forget it. Don't think about it. You'll know the reason in the future. After saying that, Ning Cheng raised his hand and tore apart all the isolation restrictions and array formations in front of him. The desert of the Forsaken Land then appeared in Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng stepped in and called out, Don't think about it. Come in quickly. Ning Ruoqing didn't continue to think about it and followed Ning Cheng into the Forsaken Land. Ning Cheng could not even feel the slightest bit of suppression from the place that could restrict his cultivation in the past, but now that Ning Cheng stood in this place, he could not feel even the slightest suppression. Ning Ruoqing, who followed behind Ning Cheng, didn't feel any pressure at all. It also showed that her cultivation surpassed Ning Cheng's. There's an eye at the bottom of this lake. I hate that dagger. Standing by the white-robed ghost lake, Ning Ruoqing looked at the lake in front of her and spoke with a frown. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on the eye and once again felt the aura of the sealed giant. It made him feel lucky. This eye had long since been invaded by another aura. If he hadn't come here, someone would have refined this eye in a few years. Ning Cheng couldn't see through that dagger at first. But now, he could clearly feel the power of that dagger. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and soon found Princess Man in Yaluan City. The original city master Yi Zhonghuan had long since disappeared. Not to mention Yi Zhonghuan, even his son had disappeared. In the largest hall of the city master's mansion, apart from Princess Man, there were only two maids standing outside the door. The two maids had a deathly look on their faces and looked as if their hearts had died. At the outermost periphery of the city master's mansion, there were rows of expressionless guards and some equally pale maids. The entire Yaluan city no longer had the vitality it once had and had turned lifeless. The living people looked like walking corpses. Princess Man's face had turned completely blue, and the blue crystal dot between her eyebrows had opened up, revealing a hazy eye. Ning Cheng gave a cold snort and raised his hand to grab it. This woman, as he had guessed, had taken over the body of the original Princess Man and used the protection of the Yaluan City's city master's mansion to slowly refine the eye at the bottom of the lake. Princess Man, who was sitting in the city master's mansion, suddenly stood up and gave a cold snort. The two maids standing outside the door heard the cold snort and quickly walked in. Is the 1,000 chestnut flower ready? I want to take a bath. Princess Man spoke with an expressionless voice. The slightly taller maid replied with a respectful tone, replying to Your Majesty, the original 1,000 chestnut flower has been used up, but the new 1,000 chestnut flower has not yet been collected. We are still collecting. Pa. The maid had not finished speaking when Princess Man slapped her across the face. The slightly taller maid opened her mouth and spat out a few teeth and a mouthful of blood. Princess Man did not stop there. Grabbing the maid's collar, she raised her hand and tore it. With a tearing sound, the maid's robes were completely torn off, revealing her white skin. When Princess Man saw this white skin, her eyes flashed with a strange light as she stuck out her tongue and licked her lips. However, she did not take the next step. Instead, she glanced at the other slightly trembling maid and asked the same question as before, is the 1,000 chestnut flower ready? I want to take a bath. The other maid quickly bowed and spoke, replying to Your Majesty, it's ready. I'll bring it in right away. She had already prepared herself. As long as this king man agreed, she would go out and kill herself. Staying by this woman's side would only lead to death sooner or later. Therefore, it would be better to die by herself. Pa, tearing. With the same slap, she tore off the other maid's robes. Bitch, you dare to lie to this king. The bewitching red color in Princess Man's eyes grew more and more intense. At this moment, a sarcastic voice arrived, Princess Man, long time no see. You've become a king. Not only did you become a king, but you even have such prestige. This abrupt voice not only startled Princess Man, but also caused the two maids to look at the void in horror. There was clearly no one around, so where did this voice come from? Who is it? Princess Man forced herself to calm down and asked with a trembling voice. Killing others was as easy as breathing for her, but she could never let such a thing happen to her. You forgot so quickly, ah. Back then when I looked at you, you gave me 3 knives and 6 holes. Hearing this voice, Princess Man's face turned even paler. She finally knew who the speaker was. Since coming to the Yaluan city, she had only eaten a single loss, and that person was Ning Cheng. Her cultivation method was incomplete, as such, she was definitely not an opponent against Ning Cheng. I have no enmity with you. Princess Man had only spoken a few words when Ning Cheng interrupted her. Wrong, you not only have enmity with me, but you also tried to refine my friend's eyes. When Princess Man heard Ning Cheng mention her friend's eyes, her eyes turned even more flustered. Not waiting for her to rush out of the city master's mansion's main hall, an invisible hand grabbed her neck and directly took her away from the city master's mansion. The two maids, whose robes had been torn off by Princess Man and thrown to the ground, saw and heard everything with their own eyes. After a long time, the taller maid finally reacted and quickly stood up and spoke, "You Min, let's hurry up and take advantage of this opportunity to escape." The other female cultivator wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, pursed her lips and spoke, "Elder Sister Lu, with her means, if she is not dead, it would be useless for us to escape. I've heard of that Ning Cheng, he was the one who taught Princess Man a lesson. Let's make a bet that if Ning Cheng took that woman away, she would never have the chance to come back." "What bet?" the maid called Elder Sister Lu asked in a panic. "Replace that woman and take control of the entire Yaluan city." The maid called Yumin stared at the taller maid and spoke word by word. The taller maid had not yet spoken when they heard Ning Cheng's voice once again, "Princess Man will not go back. You can also take control of the Yaluan city. But remember how you came here in the first place. If you end up like Princess Man, you will suffer retribution sooner or later." The two maids on hearing Ning Cheng's words quickly knelt on the ground and repeatedly agreed. Ning Cheng naturally did not care about how these two women took control of the Yaluan city. He just casually spoke a few words to help the innocent civilians of the Yaluan city. As for whether these two maids would listen to him or not, he would not stay here to monitor them. Chapter 768. An hour later, Ning Cheng finally destroyed the original spiritual sense restriction on the dagger. Just when Ning Cheng destroyed the original spiritual sense restriction on the dagger, a dull roar came from the void. It seemed to be filled with anger. At this moment, Ning Cheng took full control of the black dagger, and the dagger also stabilized. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief and destroyed the spiritual sense restriction on the dagger. It was only a matter of time before he refined this dagger. "What if I don't?" Ning Ruoqing still asked in confusion. After another incense stick worth of time, the blood-red hue in the white-robed ghost lake receded and returned to its original color. The huge eye at the bottom of the lake seemed to have relaxed completely and no longer bled. With Ning Ruoqing's help, Ning Cheng felt a bit more relaxed. His celestial essence, spiritual consciousness, and domain completely wrapped around the black dagger. With Ning Ruoqing helping him seal it, he could refine it like crazy. Why? Ning Cheng really didn't know how to answer Ning Ruoqing's question. After a while, he replied, "This is repaying kindness with kindness." Chuan Xinlo, seeing that he couldn't persuade Song Caihe, no longer tried to persuade him. Instead, he smiled and said, "Sect Master Ning truly calculated well. He opened the ancient shadow temple and trapped us all inside. If it weren't for me, I'm afraid he would have succeeded. Today, I also came here to find Sect Master Ning for an explanation. Pil Emperor Tsang, please let Sect Master Ning come out. Mysterious yellow celestial river is also a part of my culmination grand starry sky. I really don't want to destroy the defensive array formations here." Ning Cheng nodded, "I owe someone a favor. Before I return that favor, I'll send his eye back." Ning Ruoqing kept sending out sealing array flags one after another. The black dagger was also constantly struggling, tearing apart the sealing array that had been set up at every moment. Song Caihe frowned slightly but didn't refute Chuan Xinlo's words. Instead, he spoke with a calm tone, "Sect Master went out to take care of something and hasn't returned yet. When Sect Master returns, I will definitely tell Sect Master about Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor's visit. Despite Ning Ruoqing's straightforward answer, Ning Qing still arranged several entrapment arrays outside the white-robed ghost lake. He had a hunch that this dagger wasn't something easy to deal with. Shen Mengyan, my sister died in Yu Clan's corner. Do you think you can still live today? It's not up to you to ask whose Dao companion I am. You shameless thing, your own man doesn't even want you, so you can only hide here with your daughter's man. This woman in a light cyan robe was none other than Shen Mengyan's former rival in love, Bao Yinge. But she lost in the field of love. Now that there was a chance for revenge, how could she let it go? By the way, I heard that mysterious yellow sect Master Ning has a charming younger sister. I like her style. Ji Lei didn't care about Shen Mengyan's expression at all. Shen Mengyan's expressions immediately changed when she saw the man being led like a dog. The person Ji Lei was leading was the strongest person of Yu Clan's corner, Yu Baihong. Ning Ruoqing nodded, not fully understanding, but she kept pondering. At this time, the dagger was pulled out, and the huge eye at the bottom of the lake began to bleed. The blood quickly dyed the entire lake red. It's just that Ning Qing didn't care about the eye at all. His thoughts were that he couldn't let this black dagger walk away alone. Otherwise, it would bring about endless disasters. After listening to Princess Man's words, Ning Qing didn't want to continue talking to her. He raised his hand and threw out several array flags. Behind the two stood 2 men and a woman. The 2 men were eternal level experts, and even the woman was a heaven-seated expert. In contrast, the 3 heaven-seated experts behind Song Caihe looked a bit shabby. Princess Man replied in panic, "This junior really doesn't know. This junior is just a broken soul body, and all my memories have disappeared. I only know that the eye in this white-robed ghost lake is very powerful. As long as I refine it, I can get everything back. After refining it for more than 100 years, I finally managed to remember everything. I took possession of Yaren City's Princess Man. As for the rest, Senior already knows about it." Ning Qing felt shocked, and immediately activated his domain. At the same time, he rushed out of the lake and shouted, "Ruoqing, hurry up and help me seal the array formation." After arranging the entrapment formation, Ning Qing stepped into the lake and raised his hand to grab the dagger. Ji Lai stopped Bao Yinge, who was about to go berserk, and with a wave of his hand, a man with a chain around his neck appeared in his hand. These array flags completely wrapped around Princess Man, causing her to let out a scream. In just a few breaths, the cyan-colored eye in Princess Man's glabella turned into a cyan-colored aura that rushed into the bottom of the lake and merged with the eye. Ning Qing didn't continue refining the dagger. Instead, he took out a jade box and sealed the dagger inside. Shen Mengyan didn't feel angered by Bao Yinge's words. Instead, she spoke with a calm tone, "I'm standing upright here. Whether your words are true or false, you know it in your heart. But you, in order to hold on to someone's leg, you and your sister have to serve the same person. I'm afraid you've already forgotten that you desperately chased after Yu Yuechen and wanted to stay in Yu Clan's corner." The moment Ning Qing pulled out the black dagger, a terrifying vortex appeared in Ning Cheng's palm. The next moment, the black dagger broke free from Ning Cheng's palm and rushed out. "Brother Tsang, Chuan Xinlo, have always respected you. You're the premier pill emperor of my grand culmination Starry Sky, and your future is limitless. Why do you want to stay in a small place like Jiangzhou Star? You should go to a bigger place." Chuan Xinlo spoke with a calm tone. As the white-robed woman spoke, she glanced at the woman in a light blue dress standing next to Ji Lai with extreme contempt. In terms of appearance, the woman standing next to Ji Lai didn't lose out to the white-robed woman at all. In fact, she even had a more voluptuous figure. As Ning Qing continued to refine the dagger, the entrapment formation sealing the white-robed ghost lake started to suffer fewer and fewer attacks. At the same time, the dagger's struggle also started to slow down. Don't worry, it's just a small matter. Ning Ruoqing waved her hand without any care. After saying this, Ning Cheng raised his hand and put the eye into the jade box. At the same time, he sealed the jade box. The moment he grabbed the black dagger, Ning Cheng had a feeling that the blood in his body could not help but boil up, and then rush into the dagger. It made him feel lucky. When he first saw this black dagger, he didn't use his hands to pull it out. Otherwise, the boiling of his blood would have caused his body to explode. Ning Cheng refined a huge jade box and said to the eye at the bottom of the lake, "I'll take you out of here. One day, I will bring you to your master. Let's go. Once we're done here, we'll return to the Tian continent and leave through Heaven's Way." Ning Cheng pulled Ning Ruoqing, who was still in deep thought. Even Yu Baihong ended up like this. It would be strange if Yu Clan's corner could get any better. After merging with this cyan aura, the strange aura coming from the eye at the bottom of the lake started to lessen. After half an incense stick worth of time, the cyan crystal dot between Princess Man's eyebrows disappeared without a trace. The moment the cyan crystal dot disappeared, Princess Man's aura also disappeared. Yi Jiufeng's position was slightly different from Chuan Xinluo's. Chuan Xinluo's position was slightly forward, while Yi Jiufeng's position was slightly behind. But unlike before, when Yi Jiufeng and Chuan Xinluo appeared at the same time, the two would always be equally matched. Seeing that Ji Lei still wanted to speak, Chuan Xinluo waved his hand, "Let's not talk about anything else. Let's go to Stately River Star now. Pil Emperor Tsang, please step aside. My time is limited, and I want to talk to Sect Master Ning as soon as possible." Senior. When Princess Man opened her eyes and found herself standing next to the white-robed ghost lake, her heart suddenly turned cold. She knew that even if she resisted, it would be meaningless. Humph, is it enough to say that Ning Cheng is not here? He dared to come to my culmination starland and kill my Tao companion. Today, I will let him know how much he regrets provoking me, Ji Lei. The early-stage eternal man standing behind Chuan Xinluo spoke with a ferocious murderous aura. But at this time, this kind of boiling aura couldn't do anything to him. Ning Cheng gathered his celestial essence and pulled it out. "Shen Mengyan, look who this is. Yu Clan's corner. Yu Clan's corner is just a pile of garbage in my eyes." Ji Lei pointed to the man he was holding. Ning Cheng sent out a fireball and turned the possessed body into nothingness. Then, he said to Ning Ruoqing, "I'm going to pull out that dagger. If anything happens, remember to help me. Tell me about your origins." Ning Cheng threw Princess Man next to the white-robed ghost lake and asked in a cold voice. Although the white-robed ghost lake had turned into a blood lake, Ning Cheng didn't worry about it. He already had the culprit under control, and he could take away the giant's eye. Without Ning Cheng's reminder, Ning Ruoqing had already sealed the array formation. She had promised Ning Cheng that she wouldn't let this dagger go. Outside mysterious yellow celestial river's stately river star, mysterious yellow sect's deputy sect master Tsang Saiha, who rarely interfered with external affairs, stood on the public square outside stately river star's star protecting grand array. "Did you come here for this eye?" It wasn't until Ning Cheng put away the eye that Ning Ruoqing asked from the side. Tsang Saiha wasn't a good talker and didn't know how to answer. But a white-robed woman standing behind him stood up and spoke up calmly, "Ji Lei, do you still have any face? Is Bao Lingling your Tao companion? She's clearly Yu Xingxian's Tao companion from Yu Clan's corner. How did she become yours? If Bao Lingling is your Tao companion, then what's going on with Bao Yinge? Why?" Ning Ruoqing asked in doubt. Throwing a dozen more array flags into the white-robed ghost lake, the blood in the lake condensed around Ning Cheng's array flags and formed a stream of blood that flowed into the giant eye at the bottom of the lake. Ning Cheng frowned and spoke with a slightly harsher tone, "If you don't repay kindness, wouldn't you be worse than beasts?" There were 6 people standing opposite Tsang Saiha. If Ning Cheng were here, he would know that his guess was right. After entering the ancient Shadow Temple, Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor really did not feel anything wrong. Not only that, but he also looked completely different from before. Next to Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor stood a woman, Spirit Heaven Grand Starry Skies Yi Jiufeng. Song Caihe showed a faint smile, many thanks for Brother Leveled Heart's interest. Since I promised Sect Master Ning to stay in Mysterious Yellow Sect, I won't go anywhere else. If Brother Leveled Heart still regards this Song Caihe as a friend, then don't force your way into my stately river star. Chapter 769. Song Caihe braced himself and stepped forward to stop him. Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor, please give me a little face and wait a little longer. When our sect master returns, we will definitely invite Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor to visit our stately river star. I believe that sect master will return soon. Song Caihe did not lie. Ning Cheng had given him a jade talisman, and when Chuan Xinlo arrived, he crushed the jade talisman. According to Ning Cheng, as long as he didn't leave this world, he would return here in time. Chuan Xinlo's face sank, and his tone no longer sounded as genial as before. Song Caihe, the reason why I haven't broken through until now is not because of a minor star protecting array, but because of you. If you continue to stop me, then don't blame me for being impolite. While speaking, Chuan Xinlo waved his hand, and a wave of Dao charm flowed out, causing Song Caihe to feel flustered. He vaguely felt that Chuan Xinlo had already surpassed the height of the Eternal Realm and reached a whole new realm. If Chuan Xinlo really succeeded in reaching Dao Confirming Realm, then he would definitely be telling the truth when he said that he didn't force his way in out of respect. Song Caihe felt helpless. He turned his gaze to Yi Jiufeng, but Yi Jiufeng's eyes were fixed on her nose, not showing any intention to speak at all. On the starry sky wheel, Ning Cheng chatted with Ning Ruoqing. But at this moment, he seemed to have sensed something and suddenly stood up. What's wrong? Brother. Ning Ruoqing looked at Ning Cheng in confusion and asked. In her opinion, there was nothing worth being so nervous about. Ning Cheng didn't have time to answer Ning Ruoqing's words. He immediately rushed to the position controlling the starry sky wheel, pushed Chasing Bull to the side, and poured his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence into the starry sky wheel. At the same time, Ning Cheng threw a pile of permanent essence pills into the starry sky wheel's crystal slot to burn. The starry sky wheel, which originally had a very fast speed, under Ning Cheng's control, almost looked as if it had teleported. Not even its shadow could be seen within the starry sky. Someone wants to force their way into my territory. Ning Cheng only had time to answer Ning Ruoqing after the starry sky wheel fully activated. Ning Ruoqing was instantly enraged. Who has such guts? Is he courting death? Ning Cheng did not know who it was, but he could guess who it was. Apart from Chuan Xinlo, no one would dare to force their way into Jiangzhou Star. Song Caihe's reputation was not in vain. Moreover, the title of Starry Sky's premier pill emperor was no less than Chuan Xinlo's. Since Chuan Xinlo dared to rush into stately River Star, he most likely succeeded in reaching Dao Confirming Realm. Even if Ning Cheng is here, I will still go in. Even if he is not here, I will still go in. Named Descendant Celestial River is originally a celestial river under my grand culmination Starry Sky's striking order Starry Sky. As a Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor of Grand Culmination Starry Sky, when did I have to wait for someone's permission to enter my own territory? Chuan Xinlo's tone turned harsh, with an intense unhappiness. Song Caihe didn't know how to answer Chuan Xinlo's words. Just as he felt anxious, his face suddenly lit up and he looked up into the distance. The starry sky wheel hadn't arrived yet when Ning Cheng's voice arrived. Chuan Xinlo, when did my mysterious yellow celestial river in Jiangzhou Star become your territory? You can be shameless, but can you not come to my Jiangzhou Star to be shameless? After that, Ning Cheng told Ning Ruoqing that she would help them later. He guessed that Ning Ruoqing's cultivation shouldn't be much lower than Chuan Xinlo's. Therefore, with his help, the two of them should be able to stop Chuan Xinlo. If not for Ning Ruoqing, he would never have said those words today. He only had an undead cultivation. Facing a Tao-confirming heavenly emperor with such arrogance, it would be no different from courting death. Spiritual Heaven sect master Qin Xingwen, who stood behind Chuan Xinluo, showed a hint of undetectable happiness. This fellow was still as arrogant as ever. Most likely, he didn't know that leveled heart heavenly emperor had succeeded in reaching Tao-confirming realm, right? Although he had yet to start leading grand culmination Starry Sky, Chuan Xinluo had already suppressed him. But he also hoped that Chuan Xinluo could teach Ning Cheng, this arrogant junior, a profound lesson. It would be best if he could kill him directly. Sect Master Ning has great courage. You speak without thinking. Truly, the younger generation will surpass us in time. This must be the Starry Sky Wheel. I've wanted to try the speed of the Starry Sky Wheel for a long time, but I didn't get to do it until today. As Chuan Xinluo spoke, he raised his hand and grabbed towards Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Wheel. The moment Chuan Xinluo reached out, the starry sky around everyone turned completely suppressed. It even solidified. Even Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Wheel felt like it had fallen into a quagmire and started struggling. Tao charms, which even spiritual consciousnesses couldn't detect, swept towards Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Wheel. Anyone could see that Chuan Xinluo was about to grab the Starry Sky Wheel. The violent suppression from the Tao charms made Ning Cheng's face turn pale. The suppression almost made him spit out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, he understood that the distance between him and Chuan Xinluo wasn't getting closer, but getting further and further. Ever since he started cultivating, the gap between him and others had grown wider and wider. This was the first time he had experienced such a thing. It seems that he guessed it right. Chuan Xinluo didn't have time to wonder who blocked his Tao charm handprint before bringing out the burning sky eroding sun pagoda. He could feel that Ning Cheng's cultivation had grown by more than a level compared to the last time they fought. One had to know that his cultivation had skyrocketed after reaching Tao confirming, but Ning Cheng was different. Boom boom boom. This time, the celestial essence explosion sounded more dull and powerful than the last time. But unlike the last time, it didn't create a crack in the void. From this, one could see that although it looked powerful, it wasn't as powerful as the last time. A terrifying pressure emerged from the burning sky eroding sun pagoda, causing Chuan Xinluo to feel a similar oppressive depression. This definitely wasn't celestial essence. Even if Ning Cheng was a late-stage eternal powerhouse, it couldn't give him such a strong and depressing feeling. This is hope-powered jade seal. Chuan Xinluo's thoughts turned and he immediately understood the power of the jade seal. His expression turned ugly. If Ning Cheng had the hope-powered jade seal, then that red-robed woman would have a similar cultivation as him. If that happened today, he wouldn't have any advantage at all. Bang! Although it was hope-powered jade seal, Ning Cheng still flew back under Chuan Xinluo's attack and spat out a mouthful of blood in the air. Fortunately, Ning Ruoqing managed to block Ning Cheng in time and didn't let Ning Cheng suffer any more serious injuries. Although Chuan Xinluo didn't look as embarrassed as Ning Cheng, his face still turned red under Ning Cheng's hope-powered jade seal. If Ning Cheng still had some strength to fight back when he first fought against Chuan Xinluo, then this time, Ning Cheng and Chuan Xinluo ended up at a 100% disadvantage. In other words, if Ning Cheng hadn't used hope-powered jade seal, he wouldn't have been able to do anything to Chuan Xinluo. Ning Cheng used hope-powered jade seal, while Chuan Xinluo brought out the burning sky eroding sun pagoda later. Even so, Ning Cheng still fell into an absolute disadvantage. This was Ning Cheng's second fight against Chuan Xinluo, and Yi Jiufeng had witnessed both times. At this moment, Yi Jiufeng didn't look down on Ning Cheng at all. Chuan Xinluo had already reached Tao confirming realm, yet he couldn't kill Ning Cheng in seconds. Just how powerful was Ning Cheng? This Ning Cheng not only had many means, but he also had the laws of time and was proficient in array formations. Now, he even had hope-powered jade seal. Also, when did Ning Qing get such a powerful helper? This person didn't seem any weaker than Chuan Xinluo. Ning Qing knew that there was an absolute gap between him and Chuan Xinluo, so he didn't continue. Chuan Xinluo also felt wary of Ning Ruoqing, so he didn't continue. Instead, he held the burning sky eroding sun pagoda and stared at Ning Ruoqing before asking, "Who are you? Why did you stay here and fight against me?" Ning Ruoqing frowned at Chuan Xinluo and said, "Fight against you? Who are you? You dared to break into my big brother's territory. Are you looking for death?" Even if she said, "looking for death," Ning Ruoqing spoke in a calm tone, as if she was just stating a fact, not sarcasm. How could Chuan Xinluo know Ning Ruoqing's origin? He had already regarded Ning Ruoqing as an opponent on the same level. Hearing Ning Ruoqing say that she was Ning Cheng's little sister, his heart suddenly thumped. But he reacted quickly and immediately cupped his fists and said, "I'm Chuan Xinluo from Culmination Starland's Leveled Heart Emperor Mountain. I recently reached Dao Confirming Realm in Leveled Heart Emperor Mountain." Ning Ruoqing snorted, "So what if you're from Leveled Heart Emperor Mountain? Isn't it just a Dao sculpting cultivator with an unstable foundation? Don't make it sound so big. Dao Confirming Realm? Shameless. Do you think Dao Confirming Realm is so easy?" Chapter 770. Hearing Ning Ruoqing's words, Chuan Xinluo frowned. He didn't take Ning Ruoqing's words to heart. In fact, after using the Dao fruit, he had reached a whole new realm. This realm allowed him to move much more freely than before. In other words, even if his celestial essence and spiritual consciousness didn't increase, his strength would still rise sharply because of this feeling of freedom. This was the origin of his Dao charm handprint. Before this, he would never have imagined that he could condense a powerful handprint with his Dao charm at will. It was much stronger than the eternal realm. In the past, he only had a vague understanding of his own Dao, let alone condensing a Dao charm handprint with his own comprehension of the Dao. If this wasn't Dao confirming, then what was? Chuan Xinluo felt that Ning Ruoqing's words were just deliberate. In fact, his only regret about reaching Dao confirming was the lack of thunder tribulations. Thunder tribulations were indeed a lot more dangerous. But at the same time, after crossing a thunder tribulation, one's strength would increase by several times. In fact, Chuan Xinluo's feeling wasn't wrong. Even if his celestial essence and spiritual consciousness didn't change, his strength had indeed increased by several times. It was just like Zhang Wuji cultivating the Heaven and Earth Grand Shift. Before cultivating the Heaven and Earth Grand Shift, Zhang Wuji only had a deep internal force. But after cultivating the Heaven and Earth Grand Shift, he could use his internal force to its fullest. That was the difference. Although Chuan Xinluo knew that he had reached Dao confirming, he couldn't refute Ning Ruoqing's words. Ning Ruoqing's cultivation wasn't any worse than his. If he reached Dao confirming, then Ning Ruoqing must have also reached Dao confirming. He could show disdain towards others, but he couldn't show disdain towards Ning Ruoqing. "Chuan Xinluo, why did you come to my stately river star? And when did my stately river star become Culmination Grand Starry Skies territory? Why didn't I know about this?" Ning Qing felt relieved when he saw Ning Ruoqing suppressing Chuan Xinluo. Yi Jiufeng's eyes flashed with surprise, and her gaze kept shifting to Ning Ruoqing. Chen Xingwen, on the other hand, opened his mouth wide. He had thought that Chuan Xinluo would teach Ning Qing a lesson or even kill him. He had a clear understanding of Chuan Xinluo's strength after reaching Dao confirming realm. At the very least, he, Chen Xingwen, couldn't compare to him. What he didn't expect was that not only did Chuan Xinluo fail to teach Ning Qing a lesson, but Ning Qing even scolded him to the point that he had nothing to say. He didn't even dare to do anything. Zhang Caihe breathed in a sigh of relief. Ever since he saw Ning Cheng's heaven-shaking thunder tribulation, he understood that Ning Cheng was not ordinary. As it turned out, his judgment was correct. As for Gongxiu Zhu and Bei Junyi behind Zhang Caihe, they felt even more excited. They knew that Sect Master Ning was strong and powerful, but they didn't expect Sect Master Ning to be this strong. Shen Minyan's eyes also showed a touch of surprise. She remembered Yu Yuechen, who had left after advancing to the Eternal Realm. In order to find a more powerful cultivation base, Yu Yuechen resolutely left Yu Clan's corner, leaving behind Yu Qing, who was still pregnant with her. Now, she didn't know if Yu Yuechen had really proven his Tao or if he had really become powerful. However, she knew that this Ning Cheng had not gone far, and was still as powerful as before. Ji Lei, who had been swaggering around, now had an unsightly expression on his face. As an early-stage eternal cultivator, he initially feared Ning Cheng. But after Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor came back, his fear disappeared. Moreover, after Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor succeeded in reaching Tao confirming, he no longer put Ning Cheng in his eyes. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought Yu Baihong of Yu Clan's corner to stately River Star like a dog. His purpose in doing this was to discuss Shen Mengyan and Ning Cheng. He wanted Ning Cheng to beg for mercy under absolute suppression. But he didn't expect that Ning Cheng would still be this powerful. Even Chuan Xinluo couldn't do anything to Ning Cheng. Facing Ning Cheng's questioning, Chuan Xinluo was speechless for a while. He had indeed said this not long ago, but it was when Ning Cheng was just an ant in front of him. But now, he couldn't do anything to Ning Cheng at all. If he really fought with Ning Cheng, he would definitely end up on the losing side. Don't look at Yi Jiufeng and Chen Xingwen on his side. Once a fight broke out, they would never help him. As for Ji Lei, an early-stage eternal cultivator, he was just cannon fodder here. The surroundings turned silent, and no one wanted to talk at this time. But at this moment, a scream rang out, and Ji Lei spat out a mouthful of blood before flying back. Yu Baihong, who was still holding Ji Lei's hand, immediately rushed up. A dazzling light shot out from Yu Baihong's hand and pierced through Ji Lei's chest. In just a moment, everyone understood what was going on. Ji Lei was shocked by Ning Cheng, but Yu Baihong, who was still holding his hand, suddenly attacked him. Yu Baihong and Ji Lei were both early-stage eternal cultivators. But in terms of strength, Ji Lei couldn't compare to Yu Baihong. With Yu Baihong's sneak attack, Ji Lei, who was suppressed by Ning Cheng, didn't even have the chance to resist. Chuan Xinluo's expressions changed, and he immediately rushed up. But just as he moved, Ning Cheng appeared in front of him, followed by Ning Ruoqing standing beside Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng knew that he couldn't stop Chuan Xinluo alone. But he also knew that as long as he made a move, Ning Ruoqing would follow suit. At this time, killing Bao Inga, who was under Chuan Xinluo's protection, would naturally cause Chuan Xinluo to lose face. Ning Cheng certainly didn't want this kind of conflict, and neither did she. Not waiting for the pale-faced Chuan Xinluo to speak, Ning Cheng showed a smile. Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor, Yu Baihong killed Ji Lai, which is also a personal grievance. Now that Yu Baihong has come to my mysterious yellow celestial river, I naturally have to stand up for him. Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor made a slip of the tongue, and Yu Baihong also acted a bit impulsively. Why don't we just forgive each other? Just as Shen Mengyan guessed, even with Ning Ruoqing's help, Ning Cheng didn't want to fight Chuan Xinluo to the death. He still needed time. Chuan Xinluo's expression returned to normal, and he stared at Ning Cheng coldly before speaking. Since Sect Master Ning said to understand each other, then let's understand each other. Ning Cheng had changed the way he addressed him as Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor. Apparently, Ning Cheng didn't want to fight him head-on, which was the same as what he had in mind. Since he did not want to fight with Ning Cheng right now, then he could only use the latter to step down. I wonder if Leveled Heart Heavenly Emperor is still interested in visiting my stately River Star. If Heavenly Emperor of Leveled Heart is willing to come over, I will definitely serve you with good wine. Ning Cheng saw Chuan Xian coming down the stairs and spoke up without any hurry. Chuan Xinluo gave a cold snort, not even in the mood to answer Ning Cheng's words. He directly brought out a flight-type weapon and was about to leave. Ning Qing didn't bother with Chuan Xinluo. He guessed that Chuan Xinluo wouldn't dare to go to stately River Star with him. With Ning Ruoqing's help, it would be strange if Chuan Xinluo dared to enter. Instead, he looked at Yi Jiufeng and said with a smile, "Long time no see, great Emperor Jiufeng. I wonder if you have time to visit my mysterious yellow sect." Yi Jiufeng showed a sweet smile, "Many thanks, Sect Master Ning." Chuan Xinluo, seeing that Yi Jiufeng had decided to stay, didn't speak any nonsense and directly grabbed Bao Inga and left in an instant. Chen Qingwen, on seeing that Ning Qing didn't invite him, could only awkwardly say goodbye to Ning Qing before bringing out a flight-type weapon and leaving. Yu Baihong wanted to move the entire Yu clan's corner to the mysterious yellow celestial river and also bid farewell to Ning Qing. Culmination Starland's Yu clan's corner had already taken shape. Coupled with Culmination Starland's rich essence qi and many opportunities, no one would want to move away. But Culmination Starland was Chuan Xinluo's territory. Since Chuan Xinluo had already started to suppress Yu clan's corner, staying in Culmination Starland would only be courting death. While Chuan Xinluo didn't dare to do anything to Ning Qing, he had to quickly move Yu clan's corner. In the small guest hall of Jiangzhou Star's mysterious yellow sect, Zhang Caihe left after saying goodbye to Yi Jiufeng. He knew that Ning Qing must have something to say since he called Yi Jiufeng in. Most likely, it was about the Wind Thunder apricot tree branch. Yi Jiufeng seemed to know why Ning Qing asked her to stay as a guest. After Zhang Caihe left, she took the initiative to speak. "Sect Master Ning called me in for the Wind Thunder apricot tree branch, right?" Chapter 771. Ning Qing nodded and spoke up directly, "I indeed want to exchange a Wind Thunder apricot tree branch with Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix. Of course, if Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix is not willing, then just forget about what I said. In addition, I have two other things. That is, how did Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix escape from the ancient Shadow Temple? The third thing is that I want to exchange that talisman with Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix." Addressing Yi Jiufeng as Senior Apprentice Sister was to improve the relationship between Ning Qing and Yi Jiufeng. He could see that Yi Jiufeng and Chuan Xinluo were not the kind of people who would wear the same pair of pants. Yi Jiufeng sighed and spoke, "My Wind Thunder apricot tree is no longer with me, but I left behind a branch." Ning Qing looked at Yi Jiufeng in doubt. He couldn't understand the meaning behind Yi Jiufeng's words. Seeing Ning Qing puzzled, Yi Jiufeng simply spoke up, "I already gave my Wind Thunder apricot tree and that talisman to Chuan Xinluo. Not only me, but Zhangkong Tianji and Qiao Jirue also gave their things to Chuan Xinluo." Ning Qing asked in a deep voice, "Did Chuan Xinluo say that he could take you out of the ancient Shadow Temple?" Yi Jiufeng nodded, "In fact, he did. If I'm not wrong, Zhangkong Tianji and Qiao Jirue have already returned to the Demon Domain and Devil Domain. So, Chuan Xinluo didn't reach Dao Confirming Realm in Leveled Heart Emperor Mountain, but in the ancient Shadow Temple?" Ning Qing asked again. If Chuan Xinluo didn't reach Dao Confirming Realm, how could he take everyone away? Yi Jiufeng shook her head, "It shouldn't be. If I didn't guess wrong, Chuan Xinluo did leave the ancient Shadow Temple and return to the Leveled Heart Emperor Mountain before reaching Dao Confirming Realm. According to the situation, we wouldn't have been able to escape at all. We didn't know what was going on, but we heard an angry shout from outside. Then, the force that was restraining us suddenly weakened. At this time, Chuan Xinluo took out a talisman. He said that this talisman could break open this place and let everyone leave. Of course, there are conditions for it." Ning Qing understood a bit. He even suspected that Chuan Xinluo and the others might have been able to leave because of him. He had attracted the attention of the powerful existence behind the first bridge of coping, giving Chuan Xinluo and the others an opportunity. In that case, the path of life and the path of death both lead to the same place. Did Striking Order and the others come out? Ning Qing continued to ask. That's right. The dangers in between the road of life and the road of death are different, but the place where you'll be trapped in the end is the same. In other words, if not for Chuan Xinluo's talisman, whether it was the road to life or the road to death, he would have fallen. I didn't see striking order, but Mu Hao and Sun Jihe should have escaped. Ning Ruoqing, who was sitting next to Ning Cheng, spoke up with disdain. How can someone like him be considered as Dao confirming? Ruoqing, what do you mean by Dao modeling? Why not Dao validation? Is there a higher realm after Dao sculpting? Ning Cheng had already learnt from Song Wei that there was a higher realm after the eternal realm. However, he had never come into contact with it, so he really did not know what realm it was. When Yi Jiufeng heard Ning Cheng's words, she also listened attentively. She knew about Dao validation and eternity, but she didn't have a deep understanding of it. Ning Ruoqing frowned when she heard Ning Cheng's question. She looked like she wanted to grab her hair again. Ning Cheng quickly spoke up. Ruoqing, if you can't remember it, then don't think about it. It's not important to me. Ning Ruoqing nodded and didn't continue to think about it. Instead, she said, when I saw that person named Chuan Xinluo take action, a cultivation level naturally appeared in my mind. But he didn't seem to have reached that level. As for the specific situation, I can't remember what happened next. Ning Cheng felt afraid that Ning Ruoqing would continue to grab her hair, so he stopped asking. Yi Jiufeng took out a branch and handed it to Ning Cheng. I already planned to trade with Sect Master Ning, but I never had a chance. So this time, even though Chuan Xinluo took away my Wind Thunder apricot tree, I still have a branch here. Ning Cheng quickly took the branch. As soon as the branch fell into his hands, he immediately caught the Wind Thunder aura. Ning Cheng felt sure that Yi Jiufeng was right. This was indeed the branch of the Wind Thunder apricot tree. Carefully putting away the branch, Ning Cheng took out a drop of Glimmer of Dawn ice essence and handed it to Yi Jiufeng before saying, I know that Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix needs the Glimmer of Dawn ice essence. If you want something else, Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix, please tell me. I'll take it out as long as I can. Yi Jiufeng took the jade bottle Ning Cheng handed over and showed a slight smile. I just want a drop of Glimmer of Dawn ice essence, then. Seeing Ning Cheng's worried look, Yi Jiufeng giggled. This was the first time she had returned to her original appearance since she left the ancient Shadow Temple. Then I also want to ask Sect Master Ning to help me once. Ning Cheng breathed in a sigh of relief and spoke up with certainty. If I can help Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix, then it naturally wouldn't be a problem. But what does Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix want from me? I don't know yet. But if I need Senior Apprentice Brother Ning's help in the future, I hope that Senior Apprentice Brother Ning won't refuse. Yi Jiufeng, on hearing Ning Cheng's promise, spoke up with a relaxed tone. Yi Jiufeng also changed the way she addressed Ning Cheng in order to improve their relationship. Since he had already promised Yi Jiufeng, Ning Cheng wouldn't go back on his word. As long as Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix can send me the news in time, I will definitely help you once. Yi Jiufeng nodded, took out a jade card and a ring, and handed them to Ning Cheng. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, this jade card contains my spiritual sense jade card. It doesn't have any tracking ability. When I send a message, the jade card will shatter and appear in my position. No problem, but this ring. Ning Cheng took the jade card with some doubts and didn't take the ring in Yi Jiufeng's hand. Yi Jiufeng also stuffed the ring into Ning Cheng's hand. I know that Senior Apprentice Brother Ning has only established the sect for a short time and might lack some cultivation resources. Consider these cultivation resources as my support to Senior Apprentice Brother Ning. Starry Sky Spiritual Veins. Ning Cheng took Yi Jiufeng's ring. But when he saw the things inside the ring, he immediately felt moved. The ring Yi Jiufeng gave him contained 2 Starry Sky Spiritual Veins. Moreover, they were both high-grade Starry Sky Spiritual Veins. Although the purity of the celestial essence spiritual chi in starry sky spiritual veins wasn't as good as permanent essence pills, it won in terms of quantity. 2 complete high-grade starry sky spiritual veins was definitely a big deal. From this, Ning Qing understood that the matter Yi Jiufeng wanted his help with wasn't simple. Yi Jiufeng stood up, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, the matter I need your help with isn't that complicated. As long as someone tries to deal with me, you can come and help me." Even if Yi Jiufeng didn't say it, Ning Qing already knew what Yi Jiufeng meant. Who else could deal with Yi Jiufeng, or even dare to deal with Yi Jiufeng, besides Chuan Xinluo? Not to mention that he and Chuan Xinluo already had a grudge against each other. Even if there wasn't such a thing, he would still help Yi Jiufeng with the 2 starry sky spiritual veins. Senior apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix, rest assured. Since I accepted Senior apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix's things, I will definitely help. Ning Qing said without hesitation. He felt sure that Chuan Xinluo wouldn't dare to make any moves in the near future. This fellow would definitely go into seclusion to consolidate his cultivation after going back. Many thanks, Senior apprentice brother Ning. I'm going back to the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky. Yi Jiufeng said happily. Ning Qing quickly asked, I have one more thing to ask Senior apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix. What's going on with the life and death gate under the ancient Shadow Temple? Hearing Ning Qing's words, Yi Jiufeng's expression turned slightly ugly. From this, one could tell that the life and death gate had left some serious aftereffects on her. She pondered over it for a moment before replying, I didn't discuss the life and death gate with anyone. I just entered the life and death gate. That place gave me the feeling of hell, or rather, the underworld. I've heard of the underworld, but I'm afraid that the underworld is far from comparable to that kind of cold and terrifying place. A place that made Yi Jiufeng, an eternal-level heavenly emperor, feel uneasy. How could it be an ordinary underworld? At most, the underworld contained ghosts and some soul bodies. Yi Jiufeng was already in the eternal realm. Therefore, even if there were billions of Yin spirits, it wouldn't scare her. Ning Qing vaguely guessed that the place under the ancient Shadow Temple wasn't the underworld. He guessed that it might be the entrance to the underworld, but it was controlled by a powerhouse. Seeing that Yi Jiufeng didn't know too much, Ning Qing thanked her and said, Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix. Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix must be worried about the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky. I won't keep Senior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix here. Yi Jiufeng had long wanted to return to the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky. Therefore, when she heard Ning Qing's words, she quickly left. What kind of place is the ancient Shadow Temple? Is it dangerous? Is it more dangerous than the big crater in the center of the Lost Mountain Range? Ning Ruoqing asked after Yi Jiufeng left. Ning Qing gave a nod and said, Yes, it's indeed dangerous. I plan to wait until my cultivation improves before going in. Ning Ruoqing spoke up without hesitation, then I'll go in with you. If you don't go in now, you can stay in my cave and cultivate. When your cultivation slowly recovers, maybe you can remember some things. After saying that, Ning Qing took out one of the 2 spiritual veins given to him by Yi Jiufeng and handed the ring with only one starry sky spiritual vein to Ning Ruoqing. This starry sky spiritual vein is for you to cultivate. I'll plant the other one under the mysterious yellow sect. With 2 starry sky spiritual veins, an ordinary cultivator could advance from middle stage life and death realm to full circle life and death realm. But Ning Qing felt that if he wanted to advance to full circle life and death realm, these 2 spiritual veins might not be enough. Since he couldn't advance, he might as well use them for something more practical. Ning Ruoqing didn't refuse. She put away the ring given to her by Ning Qing and stayed in Ning Qing's cave to cultivate. Ning Qing then planted the other starry sky spiritual vein under Covered Snow City. Everyone in Covered Snow City could clearly feel the concentration of starry sky spiritual chi rising rapidly. Covered Snow City's starry sky spiritual chi was already much denser compared to other places. Now that it rose again, everyone felt pleasantly surprised. Ning Cheng had just placed the starry sky essence chi spiritual vein under Covered Snow City and hadn't had time to upgrade the twin wings of the heavenly clouds when he sensed Duan Gantai's presence again. This fellow was rushing toward stately River Star. This fellow really came. Ning Cheng wondered what this fellow did with the none to depend on wine last time. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng gave up the idea of upgrading the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and immediately left Covered Snow City. Ning Cheng knew very well that Duan Gantai's escape methods were top-notch. Even if he called Ning Ruoqing, he might not have a 100% chance of stopping this fellow. Once Duan Gantai escaped, he wouldn't be able to enter the Temple of Time. Feeling Duan Gantai's trajectory as he quickly approached stately River Star, Ning Cheng secretly admired this fellow. This fellow was as smart as a loach and didn't even use a teleportation array this time. Chapter 772. Duan Gantai's expression turned a little ugly. In fact, he didn't know if Ning Cheng was in stately River Star or not. Whether he was here or not, he exchanged a breaking boundary talisman for a few bottles of fake wine. It would be strange if he felt happy about it. But when he saw Ning Cheng standing on the outer public square of stately River Star, the ugly look on his face disappeared without a trace. He laughed from afar and said, Brother Ning, I couldn't sense Brother Ning's position. I thought Brother Ning wasn't in stately River Star. But now that I saw Brother Ning, and Brother Ning came out to greet me, I feel happy. Sure enough, old friends are still good. Ning Cheng then remembered that the seal on his connecting spirit silk had not been unraveled. He looked at his wrist and spoke with some depression, Oh, Brother Duan can't even sense my connecting spirit silk. The quality of this thing really is poor to the extreme. With that, Ning Cheng patted his hand a few times and removed the seal on the connecting spirit silk. Then, Ning Cheng suddenly spoke up, It's good again. This thing really is a donkey. If I don't open it, it won't open. Duan Gantai didn't seem to know that Ning Cheng had just unlocked the seal on the connecting spirit silk and still had a smile on his face. Yes, my connecting spirit silk is also sometimes good and sometimes bad. It's really distressing. Fortunately, I have a good relationship with Brother Ning. If replaced by a narrow-minded person, they might have gotten angry. Ning Cheng looked at Duan Gantai with a smile, Brother Duan, you arranged a teleportation array on the public square outside my stately River Star. Why didn't you use it? It would have saved a lot of time. Duan Gantai waved his hand, I didn't know that Brother Ning was in stately River Star. If I had known, I would have teleported here a long time ago. I just passed by stately River Star and suddenly missed Brother Ning, so I made a special trip here. I didn't expect to see Brother Ning here. I'm really excited right now. Although he spoke as if nothing had happened, Duan Gantai despised him in his heart. If you knew that there was a teleportation array here, would I dare to use it? Unless I was an idiot and didn't want to live anymore. I heard that Brother Duan's escape technique is top-notch, but my escape technique is very poor. I wonder if Brother Duan can give me some pointers. Ning Cheng wasn't in the mood to play hypocritical with Duan Gantai. He really wanted to know if he could restrain Duan Gantai in the shortest time with Ning Ruoqing's help and prevent him from leaving. Duan Gantai waved his hand in shame, Brother Ning is overpraising me. In fact, my escape technique is just average. It's just that I was fortunate enough to obtain a mental escape technique. Even if I'm completely restrained by others, as long as I can still move my mind, I can escape in an instant. While speaking, Duan Gantai unconsciously took 2 steps back, putting some distance between him and Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng pretended not to see Duan Gantai's reaction and gave up on the idea of attacking Duan Gantai. Duan Gantai might have spoken the truth, but it was also a warning to Ning Cheng not to make any moves. Otherwise, everyone would fall apart. Escape technique of thoughts, even Ning Cheng had never heard of it, let alone know of it. No wonder this fellow had no fear every time he came to stately River Star. He knew that he couldn't catch him. No one knew if this fellow was telling the truth or not. Last time, he managed to seal the Eternal Night Domain's array formations and still managed to escape. Since he couldn't stop Duan Gantai, Ning Cheng simply asked, "Brother Duan, since you look so radiant this time, you must have obtained a great opportunity, right?" Duan Gantai knew that Ning Cheng wanted to ask him about taking away the none to depend on wine last time. He sighed, "Don't mention it. Last time, I managed to take away 3 pots of none to depend on wine from Brother Ning. But my friend said that my none to depend on wine was fake. He asked me to return the breaking boundary talisman to him, but I already gave all the breaking boundary talismans to Brother Ning. Where would I get any more? As a result, alas, it's a long story." At this point, Duan Gantai gave out a sigh and frowned deeply. He didn't pretend. After he obtained the 3 pots of none to depend on wine, he immediately went to the Guardian Temple. It's just that when he comprehended the none to depend on spirit technique, he felt that the 3 pots of none to depend on wine were still lacking. Finally, in the Guardian Temple's cultivation method containing the none to depend on spirit technique, he found the reason. The 3 pots of none to depend on wine that Ning Cheng gave him weren't the real none to depend on wine. If he wanted to comprehend the none to depend on spirit technique, he couldn't do it without the real none to depend on wine. Without comprehending the none to depend on spirit technique, he couldn't open the real Guardian Temple. "Ah, I thought that the breaking boundary talisman belonged to you clan. I didn't expect it to belong to your friend." Ning Cheng ridiculed Duan Gantai. It's the same. Duan Gantai was anxious to obtain the treasures of the Guardian Temple and didn't have the mood to talk nonsense with Ning Cheng. Seeing that Ning Cheng didn't want to say anything, Duan Gantai knew that he couldn't keep talking about it. So, he directly said, "Brother Ning, I know that you still have the real none to depend on wine. I don't know if Brother Ning can part with it. Even if it's just a few pots, I'd be satisfied." Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. He already had the top quality none to depend on wine. Moreover, he felt sure that this was the real none to depend on wine. He had this top quality none to depend on wine to comprehend the none to depend on spirit technique. But why would he give this wine to Duan Gantai? Ning Cheng had already used Duan Gantai's breaking boundary talisman. For him, there was only one reason for him to feign civility with Duan Gantai, and that was to go to the Temple of Time as soon as possible. "I don't have the real none to depend on wine. By the way, Brother Duan, if you're not busy now, we can go to the Temple of Time and have a look." Ning Cheng refused without hesitation. He urgently needed a lot of cultivation resources right now. Only by going to the Temple of Time could he obtain a lot of cultivation resources. Duan Gantai frowned when he heard Ning Cheng's words. If Ning Cheng didn't want to give him the none to depend on wine, then even if he controlled the Guardian Temple, it would be in vain. If he wanted to share the Guardian Temple with others, Duan Gantai would never agree to it. "Brother Ning, the Temple of Time hasn't opened yet. We can't get in at all." Duan Gantai spoke with sincerity. Although he spoke with sincerity, he sneered in his heart. "So what if you have 2 keys to the Temple of Time? We don't know if Striking Order Heavenly Emperor is dead or alive. Only I, Duan Gantai, can enter the Time Wilderness at any time. Even if you have 2 keys to the Temple of Time, the time you can enter the Time Wilderness is still in my hands." Ning Cheng felt startled. Because he still had a jade talisman to enter the Time Wilderness, he didn't remember that the Time Wilderness was still closed. In the past, Striking Order Heavenly Emperor had given him 2 transfer talismans to enter the Time Wilderness in order to befriend him. Ning Cheng had used one to find Yuqing, so he still had the other. Should he tell Duan Gantai that he could enter the Time Wilderness? Ning Cheng hesitated and wondered why Duan Gantai wanted the real none to depend on wine. "Brother Ning, if you have the real none to depend on wine, just give me a pot. Brother Ning can also choose whatever things I have on me. Duan Gantai's tone grew more sincere. Duan Gantai's words immediately made Ning Qing dismiss the idea of telling Duan Gantai that he could enter the time wilderness. Duan Gantai desperately needed the none to depend on wine. If he didn't take advantage of this opportunity, it would be a waste of his friendship with Duan Gantai. Brother Duan, although I don't have the real none to depend on wine, if Brother Duan has the void shimmering light crystal, I will do everything in my power to help Brother Duan obtain the real none to depend on wine. Who told me to have such a deep friendship with Brother Duan? If I don't help Brother Duan, who else can help Brother Duan? Ning Qing spoke with the same sincerity. If it weren't for Ning Cheng's request, Duan Gantai would have already cursed out loud when he heard the words void shimmering light crystal. What was a void shimmering light crystal? It was a treasure that could upgrade a starry sky flame to a whole new level. Even if he opened the Guardian Temple, he didn't know if such a thing existed or not. Through Ning Cheng's words, Duan Gantai also understood that Ning Qing definitely had a starry sky flame. Moreover, this starry sky flame's grade wasn't low. Otherwise, he wouldn't have wanted the void shimmering light crystal. Duan Gantai showed a bitter smile. Brother Ning, you're making fun of me. If Brother Ning wants a starry sky spiritual vein, I can help Brother Ning get one even if it costs me my life. But since Brother Ning wants this void shimmering light crystal, I really can't do anything about it. Ning Qing nodded in agreement. I just said it casually. Brother Duan, you don't have to take it to heart. I'll pay attention to Brother Duan's none to depend on wine. Once I get any news, I'll contact Brother Duan immediately. Duan Gantai knew that Ning Cheng's words were nonsense. Once he separated from Ning Cheng, he didn't know if he could find Ning Cheng again, let alone ask Ning Cheng for the none to depend on wine. Thinking of this, he gritted his teeth. Brother Ning, I'll definitely give you a starry sky essence chi spiritual vein. Although I don't have it now, after I bring the none to depend on wine to my friend, I can get the starry sky essence chi spiritual vein. To make Brother Ning trust me, I'll put the third key to the Temple of Time on Brother Ning. The huge happiness made Ning Cheng almost forget to answer Duan Gantai's words. If it were so easy to get the third key to the Temple of Time, he would have already asked Duan Gantai for it. Unexpectedly, he hadn't even started asking for it yet, but Duan Gantai took the initiative to ask for it. Duan Gantai, you asked for it. Don't blame me for not giving you any soup to drink. How could I do that, putting all three keys on me? I am also scared witless in my heart. Ning Qing quickly spoke up. He knew that as long as Duan Gantai made up his mind, even if he was bluffing, Duan Gantai would take it out. Sure enough, without waiting for Ning Qing to continue, Duan Gantai took out a half-foot-long black key. Brother Ning and I have such a deep friendship. If I don't even trust Brother Ning, why would I come here? Brother Ning, you can rest assured. Even if you take away everything in the Temple of Time, I'm willing to do so. After all, we are friends of life and death. As soon as he took out this key, Ning Qing understood that it was the black perpetual moon time key. Duan Gantai didn't hesitate, but Ning Qing also didn't hesitate. He didn't hesitate to take out a pot of true top-quality none to depend on wine and said, I don't know what happened, but I suddenly found a pot of none to depend on wine. Brother Duan, take a look and see if this is what you need. As long as Brother Duan needs it, even if I have to go through all the trouble and hardships, I will help Brother Duan find it. The none to depend on wine pot opened, and the unique fragrance of top-quality none to depend on wine spread out. Duan Gantai instantly felt sure that this was the real none to depend on wine he wanted. He had a hunch that as long as he got this pot of wine, he could comprehend the none to depend on spirit technique with 100% certainty. The two quickly exchanged items, and Duan Gantai smiled and thanked Ning Qing repeatedly. Ning Qing had mentioned that he didn't have the real none to depend on wine on him and that he had gone through all the hardships to find it. However, Duan Gantai acted as if he had never heard of it. Then, I won't see you off, brother Duan. Ning Qing cupped his fists and said to Duan Gantai. He didn't even ask Duan Gantai for a few starry sky spiritual veins. Duan Gantai also politely cupped his fists and smiled, Brother Ning, this little brother will take his leave. I will come back soon and bring Brother Ning the starry sky essence chi veins. Who told us to have such a good friendship? Duan Gantai's mood at this time was completely different from when he first arrived. He knew that Ning Qing had finally drunk his foot-washing water. Even if Ning Qing had 3 perpetual moon time keys, Ning Qing couldn't enter the Temple of Time. But with a pot of true none to depend on wine, he could definitely enter the Guardian Temple. Chapter 773. In front of a gloomy door, Duan Gantai, who had been sitting quietly for a few days, suddenly stood up and punched down with both hands. A mournful aura, along with the none to depend on wine that had yet to dissipate, instantly filled the entire space. Under this aura, a closed door slowly opened. Duan Gantai's face turned a little red, but when he saw some of the things inside through the crack in the door, he suddenly froze. His ugly face trembled with excitement. He had snatched spiritual objects from everywhere, including guardian pills, permanent essence pills, starry sky essence chi veins. As long as he learned about it, as long as he could snatch it, he would do everything in his power to get it back. Whether it was killing, arson, swindling, or even destroying one's family or clan. For Duan Gantai, nothing was as important as cultivation resources. Even if he had snatched many cultivation resources, he had never seen such a shocking scene in front of him. He saw a starry sky spiritual vein, and just a starry sky spiritual vein made him excited. That's right, a starry sky spiritual vein. That's because there wasn't just one spiritual vein inside this door, but a bunch of them. He could clearly see the starry sky essence chi spiritual veins piling up like dragons. Roughly counting, there were no less than 100 of them. He hadn't even entered when the extremely rich starry sky essence chi spiritual vein completely wrapped around him. In this place, even if he just took a deep breath, he could feel his cultivation improving. The Guardian Temple actually contained so many treasures. Moreover, this was just the entrance to the inner hall of the Guardian Temple. He vaguely saw another door in the deepest part of the Guardian Temple, with a statue standing at the entrance. Or perhaps, there were even more good things behind the statue that looked like a guardian. Thinking of all this, Duan Gantai's entire body boiled up. He knew that after he entered this door, Ning Qing, who always made him feel uneasy, would never catch up to him. The next time he saw Ning Qing again, he wouldn't even need to discuss with him. Instead, he would use a crushing stance to tell the other party not to go against him, Duan Gantai. At the same time, under the Time Wilderness's ice crystal forest, Ning Qing stood in front of the Temple of Time's triangular ice crystal door for the second time. The first time, he didn't manage to gather the 3 perpetual moon time keys, so he had to use the Nirvana spear to forcefully blast it. The Temple of Time's door exuded a terrifying flow of time, which almost killed him. Or rather, if not for the mysterious yellow bead, he would have already lost his life here. After standing in front of the triangular gate of the Temple of Time for half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Qing took a deep breath, took out the 3 perpetual moon time keys, and sent them out. The 3 perpetual moon time keys acted as if they had eyes and aimed at the 3 keyholes. When the black, white and gray perpetual moon time keys completely inserted into the keyhole, the triangular ice crystal gate of the Temple of Time flashed with black, white and gray lines. It was as if the passage of time had taken on a substantial form. The black, white and gray tricolored lights began to flow, forming bursts of Tao charm light. The triangular ice crystal gate seemed to open at this moment, and then close at the same time. Ning Qing acted as if he had not seen the Temple of Time's gate open, nor did he care about the Temple of Time's gate closing. At this moment, he was completely immersed in the Tao runes of time. Immersed in it, he touched the edge of time. At this moment, under the flow of time that had become more tangible, Ning Qing completely forgot about the periphery and even forgot that he came here to enter the Temple of Time. Time flowed before his eyes like flowing water, but it also seemed to be tangible, attracting him to grasp it. Between heaven and earth, life is like a white horse passing by. Since comprehending the spirit technique, Dusk Fall, this sentence had given Ning Qing countless inspirations. But this time, he once again immersed himself in the laws of time and gained a new understanding of this sentence. Time was like a white horse passing by, it also had a gap. If one wanted to grasp time, one only needed to grasp this gap. This gap was very fast, but it was also very short. No matter how fast or short it was, as long as one comprehended the essence, one could grasp it. Even if others couldn't see it, as long as one could feel this gap, one could put their hand into this gap at this moment. The Tao charm light around Ning Cheng's body grew clearer, and one could vaguely see a Tao charm spirit technique similar to the Temple of Time's gate. However, this Tao charm spirit technique had subtle differences from the Tao charm spirit technique of the Temple of Time's gate. The Tao charm spirit technique of the Temple of Time's tricolored gate flowed even faster, and these Tao charm spirit techniques completely merged with the Tao charm light around Ning Cheng. Boom! Ning Cheng's sea of consciousness roared, and he opened his eyes. Ning Cheng gave out a slow sigh. This was the third time since he entered the time wilderness that he had an epiphany over the laws of time. Although he had touched upon the laws of time, he had a vague feeling that the laws of time within the time wilderness were not perfect. Even if he comprehended all the laws of time within the Temple of Time, it still had some flaws. To truly control the laws of time, he had to integrate what he had comprehended into his understanding of time and change it. Looking at the Temple of Time's tricolored gate in front of him, Ning Cheng did not continue to comprehend the Tao charm of time within it. He felt that he had already comprehended everything he needed to comprehend. If he continued to study the laws of time of others, it would deviate from his returning to one Tao. In the depths of his heart, all the laws of time within the time wilderness were low-level and not the true laws of time within the universe. Ning Cheng's gaze then fell on the tricolored ice crystal gate of the Temple of Time. He could vaguely feel the flow of time within it and saw the gate open. However, the moment the gate opened, he fell into an epiphany. Ning Cheng took a step forward and raised his hand. Tao charm of time, invisible to the naked eye, slammed into the Temple of Time's ice crystal gate. After Ning Cheng's Tao charm of time slammed into the ice crystal gate, the tricolored flow over the ice crystal gate gradually slowed down and then faded. After a few breaths, Ning Cheng spat out a mouthful of blood and stopped moving with a pale face. It wasn't that he didn't understand a spirit technique that could reverse time, but that he didn't have enough strength. He didn't have enough strength to reverse time and return the tricolored gate to the moment when it first opened. As the tricolored flow faded and finally disappeared, the 3 keys that Ning Cheng had sent out before fell to the ground. Ning Cheng didn't feel disappointed at all. He raised his hand and rolled up the 3 keys, which once again entered the 3 keyholes of the Temple of Time. Just like before, the tricolored Tao charm of black, white and gray appeared on the Temple of Time's tricolored ice crystal gate. After just a few breaths, the tricolored ice crystal gate opened once again. Before the tricolored ice crystal gate closed, Ning Cheng raised his hand and shot out a mysterious Tao charm. After Ning Cheng's Tao charm spirit technique fell on the ice crystal gate, the circulation of the Tao charm inside the ice crystal gate slowed down again. Time still flowed around them, but the tricolored ice crystal gate suddenly stopped, as if it was a completely different world from the flowing space around it. This pause was only a gap, as if a white colt was passing by. During this gap, nothing could be done, and this gap might pass in a blink of an eye. But this gap was more than enough for Ning Cheng. He took advantage of the pause and stepped through the Temple of Time's gate, which hadn't closed yet. The moment Ning Cheng entered the Temple of Time's gate, the tricolored flow over the Temple of Time's ice crystal gate started to flow again. It was as if the gate had never opened before. The only difference was that Ning Cheng, who stood outside the gate, had now entered the gate. Ding! Ning Cheng had just entered the Temple of Time when his 3 keys fell to the ground. The Temple of Time's gate looked the same as the outside, with 3 keyholes. He had opened the gate from the outside, but after he entered the Temple of Time, the keys also fell inside. Ning Cheng picked up the 3 keys and felt speechless about the person who built the Temple of Time. With such a powerful gate, even if an ordinary person had 3 perpetual moon time keys, they couldn't open it without touching the laws of time. If he had known earlier, he would have let Duan Gantai try it. Ning Cheng didn't believe that Duan Gantai had comprehended the laws of time. In any case, Ning Cheng still felt happy to enter the Temple of Time. What he lacked was treasures, and wasn't the Temple of Time a place to store treasures? But when Ning Cheng's gaze swept through the Temple of Time, and then scanned it with his spiritual consciousness again, his expression turned a little ugly. The Temple of Time, famous throughout the 4 grand starry skies, turned out to be a circular house with a radius of less than 20 square meters. There was nothing in the house. Apart from some arrays and ice crystal walls, there was nothing else around the house. Even the starry sky spirit chi inside wasn't much stronger than the outside. Ning Cheng frowned. If the Temple of Time was this broken thing, he wouldn't have bothered to come in again. Ning Cheng had gained a deeper understanding of the laws of time's spirit technique at the entrance of the Temple of Time's triangular hall. This kind of understanding could only be considered as icing on the cake. If he didn't enter this place, as time passed, his understanding of the laws of time would have reached this level. Ning Cheng walked around the circular Temple of Time in disappointment and observed it for another hour. His spiritual consciousness even penetrated the ground and walls. Finally, he stopped at the entrance of the triangular gate. The Temple of Time didn't live up to its name. Apart from sensing the laws of time at the entrance, it didn't have anything good. The benefits of the Temple of Time weren't even as good as the Sea of Twilight and the ice crystal plains where the time wheels raged. At least he had obtained some time stones in those places. Ning Cheng took out the perpetual moon time keys again and decided to leave this place. Ning Cheng once again sent the 3 perpetual moon time keys into the Temple of Time's triangular gate. Just like when Ning Cheng came in, the 3 Dao charms of black, white and gray started to flow around the Temple of Time's gate. But to Ning Cheng's surprise, he didn't see the Temple of Time's gate open instantly this time. Instead, he once again felt the almost tangible flow of time. It was completely different from the flow of time he'd comprehended in the past. The time laws he'd comprehended in the past were gentle, difficult to grasp, and fleeting. Yet this time, he felt that it was extremely sharp and violent, and it was like a fierce blade was smashing towards him. This wasn't Ning Cheng's first day in contact with the laws of time. But the only feeling he had right now was that this wasn't a comprehension of the laws of time. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.